Kids, it's Hex Vision, Quattro Cinco Studios for number 20 of our Tech Talk. Talking tech. As you can see from the title, everything is nothing and nothing is everything. What do I mean by that? Everything is nothing, nothing's everything. I mean, it's kind of crazy right now to be in this bear market where everyone's waiting for a pulse chain launch. Everyone's waiting for the next bull. Everyone's waiting for the bottom of the market and for things to get going. But at the same time, so it seems like there's a real lull in the market, except for this little bump that we had recently. It kind of woke everybody up. And at the same time, we've had so much building and projects launching and everything ready to go for Pulse Chain that everything's been going on. And at the same time, in a way, it feels like nothing's going on. So everything is nothing and nothing is everything. And maybe on another stream in another place and another time, I can talk about some more esoteric and interesting experiences I've had of everything being nothing, nothing being everything. But that's what I was referring to in this title right here. I had a lot of guests planned for this Tech Talk, and sent out a bunch of invites, so we may get some special guests joining us here. But other than that, if we don't, that's not a big deal. I tried really hard to set up a whiteboard, which is why I was a little bit late. As you can see, I was trying to do a whiteboard with my little electronic stylus here, and that didn't work. So I'm a little bit late, but I was going to try and draw out the family, the Richard Hart family of coins, and draw out the ecosystem for you guys so you could see it visually. I know a lot of you guys probably understand it, but that might help some people that are new to the system. I ran into a lot of people recently that have found out about Richard Hart and right around the sacrifice phase. So they've been following him for the last year or so, but that was about it. And so they jumped into the sacrifice, but they don't quite understand all the crazy stuff that's gone on in the background up to that point. So anyways, we'll see who joins us. We'll just kind of we'll just kind of see how we can go about talking about the questions and the developments that are recent in our ecosystem and play it by ear. But I want to shout out all of my loyal Hexkins that like to come out here. We got Red Squirrel in the house. We got HOA. We got Finbear. Is this some etymology stream? Yes and no, not really. And then we've got Mobius in the house. Good to see you, Mobius. HOA says, I'm with DJ Cryptomatic on Twitch now with Brain Damage Music. Oh, good to have you, man. Let's make sure that that you get a wrench, because we know anybody that's in chat and a friend of ours gets a wrench. So let's jump on that here. Oh, HOA, you already got a wrench. That's awesome. Okay, great. So anyways, going back to what I was talking about in the beginning, Hexicat's in the house. Yo, yo, yo. Zoo house. Good to see you, man. Yeah, there's so many projects that have launched in this bear market, and there's so many projects that have been built and are waiting to launch in this bear market. It's really blown everything else away that we've seen in the previous bear markets. So I'm going to try to do my best. Like I said, I really try to do this with a stylus because it's going to look pretty bad with the stylus. It's going to look a lot worse with the mouse, but I'll see if I can do that. And then also I'm going to post because I'm waiting on about 4 or 5 people to join Tech Talk, I'm just going to go ahead and post the StreamYard link here to you guys, so you guys can jump on if you want. Because, like I said, the stage is open for you guys. The door's open. Come hang out with me. Let's talk about this. It's been actually very hard to keep up with all these things. I was just watching Crypto Sloth last night when he was on KSB, explaining some of the effects that Poly will have on the Hex price. And that was blowing my mind, of course. My online ghost is in the house. What's good, everyone? What's good, my online ghost? Yeah, today I'm going to try to speak to some of the people that might be a little newer to the Richard Heart ecosystem. You know, a lot of us were here during the launch of Hex, and so we take for granted what it's like to understand where Bitcoin came from. We take for granted what it was like to experience the birth of Hex, and then all these other airdrops and complements to Hex and annexes to Hex. So Hex Ray doing flowcharts today. I don't know if I'd call it flowchart as much as I would call it like kindergartner scribbling with crayon on a whiteboard. That's probably what it's going to look like. And I haven't practiced this. This is off the top of my head. And so before I start with this, let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, and by the way, Red Squirrel's really upped his profile pic. I'm really liking that. And I'm probably going to be frozen until I go back and restart this. But for now, we got the whiteboard out here. So I appreciate that. Before we get into the Hex family, let's talk about Bitcoin. I have a lot of people that I talk to on a daily basis where I tell them about, they say what I do for a living. I tell them, you know, I'm in crypto and I do YouTube, and I try to help people understand crypto and YouTube. I just try to educate and help people understand this very interesting ecosystem that we have here, right? So they say, what is Bitcoin? What gives it value? How does it work? Where is it? And I explain, I stole this from Richard Hart, which basically Bitcoin is just an Excel spreadsheet, right? So we got these banks and governments, right, that are basically Excel spreadsheets. When you go to the bank and you put money in your account or someone else's account, it's really just shout out to Sloth for the profile pic. So Sloth did the Red Squirrel profile pic. That's pretty awesome. That is really nice. I can't believe Sloth has time to make amazing profile pics with all the stuff he's got going on. He's a machine. But that being said, like I said, I tell people that there are Excel spreadsheets at your bank. All that your bank is a centralized authority that controls who has dollars in which account in a giant Excel spreadsheet. And that's really all that the Federal Reserve and the IMF do as well, is they run these spreadsheets that tell us where all these tokens are, right? And so Bitcoin was the first Excel spreadsheet that was basically ran by social consensus and computer networks. So, I mean, some people believe it was from the CIA and from some other things. But if you take Satoshi at his word, he wrote some computer code for a layer 1 network that runs an Excel spreadsheet called Bitcoin. And instead of a government or a bank being in charge of this spreadsheet, you have the miners and the community agreeing to believe the miners and go on with the miners. And then you also have the social consensus and that. And so basically the authority of Bitcoin, or the authority to change that Excel spreadsheet, comes from the code in the community. And so that was really a game changer, because before Bitcoin, there were a lot of cryptocurrencies. There were silver dollars. There were all sorts of currencies and payment systems that people tried to launch outside of the government and outside of central banks. And unfortunately, they had a physical location where the government and the powers that be, the authority, could go kick in the door and shut down that business. And supposedly, when Satoshi Nakamoto set up Bitcoin, he set it up anonymously and ran the code basically on the network, decentralized. So there was no central point of failure or attack for Bitcoin's spreadsheet. I mean, that's kind of how to put it simply, is that Bitcoin is a spreadsheet, your bank is a spreadsheet, and Bitcoin is the thing that gives Bitcoin its authority and its value, is that people agree on it. And it's kind of the way that it works in the code that tries to secure it to make sure there's no double spends. But as us Hexicans know, that doesn't always work, right? So let's go here. We've got Bitcoin, that was the godfather of cryptocurrencies we know it today, and then we have Hex that came along in 2019, the end of 2019. And basically, the main difference between Hex and Bitcoin is that Hex pays its interest to the people holding it off the market to protect its value, and Bitcoin pays its inflation to the miners, right? And every 4 years, that reward gets cut in half. So that's why we have these 4-year cycles, a spike and a cycle every 4 years. So, that was the main thing, was Richard Hart said, why don't we just pay the people holding up the price, because we can rely on the layer 1 security of the Ethereum network. And that's how it started. Now, obviously, the layer 1 network that we're on, Ethereum, is having a lot of problems with fees, and they're not playing very nicely with us. So we are working. Hopefully soon we'll have our own layer 1 called Pulse Chain. But that being said, that's kind of where we're starting with the whiteboard here. Is we're starting with Granddaddy Hex, right? So we have Granddaddy Hex, and we'll just put it in that like I said, I did not practice this, so it's going to look really interesting when we're done. But right here we have. Sorry, let me grab that. Yeah, that's good. No, we just want a black one. There we go. Right here we have Granddaddy Hex right here, right? So we got Hex in the middle right here. And Hex has a very simple formula, right? Hex pays you to lock it up. And if you lie about locking Hex up, then you're going to get penalized and you're going to lose some coins. You're going to lose some interest, right? So yeah, let's start off with Granddaddy Hex here in the middle. And that was developed by Richard Hart and the community. And it's it's secret sauce that kind of makes Hex special is what we call the Tshr, right? So we got Jiminy Christmas. We got the Tshr right here. I should probably use the text, but that's all right. We got the Tshr here, and that's the secret sauce to Hex, because the Tshr basically simulate compound interest. So if you lock up earlier than someone else, you're going to make more interest. If you lock up more coins than someone else, you're going to make more interest. And over time, the people that join are going to have to lock up their coins, more coins, or longer to catch up to the people that started beforehand. And this makes it so new people can't game the system. And unfortunately, there were these whales. And you know what? I'm not hating on the whales, because if I were a whale, that had 50, 60, 100 million liquid hex to play around with, I might do the same thing. And what these wells were doing were they were doing short-term stakes for either 10 days, 30 days, 60 days. And they got this sweet pile of interest in the short term because they had such a large bag. So you had these big whales that came along and, you know, they get to scrape thousands of dollars of interests on a weekly or monthly basis. And they're still sitting on their original pile of hex. And unfortunately, this seems to be bloating the system with coins, but not adding a lot of value and not bringing a lot of new dollars to the system. So we had this two different systems start off here. We had Alex with the Hedron and Icosa system, and then we also had Dipcatcher and Goldkey with the Maximus Dao system. So let's start out with the Maximus Dao because I'm not quite sure how to link Icosa and Hedron together. But the Maximus Dao, we'll just put Max over here. Maximus Dao. So the Maxi token, short for Maximus Dao, came out. And basically they said, you know, like we're getting our lunch eaten by these whales. We can't really compete with them on the bonuses for the Tshares. But if we put a giant group of people together, then we could form a pool with a trustless smart contract. And, you know, we can go in and compete with these whales for the bonus of Tshares and so forth. Let me jump back here to chat for a quick second because it's been a little bit since I looked here. All right, now I see something. Haha, same white screen. Torin's in the house. Good to see you, Torin. Vibra Finance, Adam, what's up, man? How are you doing? And then, like I said, I've got I got the link in the chat. So if any of you guys want to join me, you're welcome on here. Out with you guys. What a beautiful art, Uncle Max. Love the whiteboard. Thank you, Colin Jackson. Hex for people that did finish basic school. No, this is way better than text. And then Crypto T's giving me some love. Thanks, Crypto T. Enjoy it. So let me go back here to the whiteboard. So we got Maxi that basically is just pooling all of the liquid hex. And Maxi took almost approximately, it was just a little less, but it was approximately 300 million hex pooled in their first contract, and they staked it for a 5555, right? So these guys staked it for 5555, basically ensuring that these tokens, these 300 million tokens, are going to be locked up and off the market. Which, with this last crash, we went down to like 2.8 cents. I believe that crash would have been a lot more with those 300 million tokens if they were able to be sold and not locked up in that 5555. So Maxi came out and did this amazing smart contract with 5555. Let me check my phone real quick. There we go. All right. Well, we got Crypto Sloth saying he might join us in a little bit, so that's great news. So we got the Maximus token with 300 million hex, almost about 300 million hex, just shy of 300 million, locked up for 5555. And basically, you could trade one hex for one Maxi during its mint phase. And because Maxi, each Maxi represents one of those hex in that contract, if you hang on to that Maxi for 5,555 days, at the end of it, it's like an IOU or a coupon where you get to turn it in for your portion of all of the interest and Hedron and airdrops and forks of that contract. So over time, liquid a Maxi token versus a Hex token will be worth quite a bit more, because if you just sit with a Hex token, it doesn't do anything. It's not creating any work or wealth. It's just a liquid token. So you have Maxi doing that. Well, Maxi was such a success, and so many people wanted to join that didn't get in on the first one. They said, why don't you create more of these smart tokens? So Dipcatcher, like a G, and let me say this, like Dipcatcher, I believe Dipcatcher's first Solidity contract was the Maxi token. He's not, I don't believe he's a coder by trade. I believe that he basically is like, he's basically just a cool dude that learned coding and said, hey, I'm going to put this together. I want this to exist, so I'm going to create it. And that's basically the definition of a meritocracy. Meritocracy says the person that's doing the work gets to make changes to the system. And so he came up with this awesome Maxi contract. And the people that minted their Hex into Maxi are very happy that they did that. So he created the Maxi, and then people wanted some shorter term ones, and they wanted some more opportunities for that. So he created what are called the Perpetuals. So underneath Maxi, he also has base, right? So you got base, which is a 1-year contract, 1 year, pop, pop, pop. So oh my gosh, this has got to be torture to anyone who's got OCD. So you got the base, which is 1 year. You got the trio, which is every 3 years. And then you've got the lucky, which is every 7 years. And then you got the Deci. Watch this. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. Deci. And Deci is every 10 years. 10 years. Boom. So basically you have these, what they call the perps. Like perpetuals or perpetrators. Perps. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Let's see if I can erase that right there. The pirate right there. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So we got the perps right here. And the perps right here are perpetually rolling. So the base is going to be rolled every year. And the trio is going to be rolled every 3 years. The lucky is going to be rolled every 7 years. And the Deci is going to be rolled every 10 years. And I believe that every time one of them rolls, you get a chance to enter or exit that pool, right? We got Mitchell Will here. What up? What up? Hey, Mitchell Will. Good to see you, man. Yeah, so we got these perpetuals right here that roll perpetually, which is why they're called the perps. And then kind of an umbrella for all of these, if you want to basically, have a piece of all of these, you can wrap all of these. Oh, that's the eraser still. Sorry. Like I said, this wouldn't be that much better if I had my stylus, but it would be, somewhat better. So you have all these perps that are wrapped up in team. Right? So you have the team token, which you can also keep liquid, or you can lock up the team for yearly amounts, right? So you have the team token right here. And like I said, all these are basically, these all started with liquid hex right here. So you had liquid hex. That was fed into all of these, that fed into there. And I believe you feed it into here. And then you also have team, which the Maxi was actually fed into team. So you could like turn your Maximus, you could mint your liquid hex into Maxi, and then you could mint your Maxi into Team. And then, like I said, this is locked yearly. Right? So this is the whole Maxi ecosystem that was built on top of the Hex smart contract that interacts with the Hex smart contract, I should say. And so there's this whole way that you can be liquid and also get the benefits of staking at the same time. And then there's also premiums that go up and down on Base, Trio, Lucky, Deci, and Maximus, and Team. So at times, they'll be worth more or less than a liquid one, right? So that's the Maximus ecosystem, and that was by Gold Key. Who recently on Twitter claimed that the real Hexaco is in San Diego. I can't argue with that. It's not a bad place for Hexaco. I mean, other than, you know, state of California stuff. And Gold Key and Dip Catcher, also known as Tonto Tanimi. You guys know it's the greatest name ever, and it's really hard to pronounce. So you got the Dip Catcher, who you know, has been, oh, Jimmy Christmas. Look at this big. Dip Catcher, who has been doing these live streams and building this stuff, you know, just in front of everybody. It's been crazy. Dip Catcher. So Dip Catcher and Gold Key made all these. So Alex, on the other hand, Alex, hell of a guy, also said, hey, I want to build something on top of Hex that allows NFTs and allows borrowing and lending. So we got Alex over here, and Alex, he took the T shares and he did a couple things with them. He took the T shares, and number one, he made it possible for you to stake your Hex inside of an NFT called a HSI, or a Hedron staking instance. So he took these T shares right here, and he wrapped them in NFT. Right here, called HSIs. HSIs. Oh man, it looks pretty. Okay, so you got your NFTs, and then also for everyone that has a T share, or rather a B share, you know, so there's 1,000 B shares and a T share. So T share stands for trillion, B stands for billion. And for every day that you held your Hex and served a B share, you got, let me go like this, B share. You got a B share. So every day that you had a B share, you got a Hedron token, right? Hedron. This is going to get worse, folks. I'm warning you right now. This is it's going to get way worse with the handwriting. Okay, so you got the B shares and the Hedron, right? So every day you do a B share or serve a B share in your Hex contract, you get a Hedron. Now the thing was is that some people had thousands of T shares, right? And at the beginning, there was a huge bonus. So if you claim this when he offered it, you got a 10x bonus all the way down to, you know, a 1x bonus in the beginning. And so a lot of people that claimed at the beginning not only got 1 Hedron per day per B share, but they got 10 Hedron per day per B share. And this flooded the market with so many Hedron that the price kind of did like, it really crashed pretty hard and pretty substantially in the beginning because there's just this insane supply of Hedron, right? So he creates the NFTs. And the other great thing about the NFTs, so NFTs are wonderful because number one, you can sell them. So let's say that you have an emergency and you don't want to emergency end stake and pay all the penalties. Let's say, for instance, there was someone in our community that talked about becoming terminally ill, and I'm sure they're not the only one. And here, let's say that I've got my stakes out for 15 years, and an unforeseen circumstance like, cancer or really expensive treatment, dialysis, anything like that happens, and I need as much of that money as possible for treatment, or I want to, hand it over to my kids, then I can sell my NFT rather than emergency end stake. Because let's face it, if I have a 15-year stake, I'm not going to end up with anything in the first year of making it. Like the whole thing is basically penalties. But if I got a bunch of T-shares there's a lot of people that are happy to wait those 15 years, and those people will sit on it. So they might buy my stake and my stake's NFT while it's still wrapped and secure, and they might sit on it for 15 years, or maybe they'll sit on it for 10 years and then sell it when it's created a lot of value over time, which is something they call delta in the trading realm, is time. So you can sell them, and you can also move them, which is before, like, let's say, for instance, if someone hacked my Metamask wallet and they knew that I had a whole bunch of or maybe someone hacked my wallet and they saw all my liquid coins, they took them out, but they didn't know to look for my stakes. Excuse me. They could take those. I could take those NFTs and move them to another wallet before they found them and destroyed them, or emergency end stake them or whatever. Whereas the original Hex shares, the original Hex stakes, they're stuck to that wallet for the life of that stake. You can't really move them or sell them. And so, like I said, Alex came up with this beautiful ecosystem of Hedron and Icosa. But as I mentioned, we've got this huge supply of Hedron, like this insane supply of Hedron that really took down its value because there was so much Hedron hitting the market to be sold that it really pushed the price down. And so Alex made a way for you to stake your Hedron, and he created another coin called Icosa. So with Icosa right here, you can stake the Icosa coin, and you can stake the Hedron. Jeez. Oh man. All right. That's an E. Hedron. Yeah, baby. Okay. Stack Hedron. Stake Hedron. We want to stake Hedron. And if you stake Icosa, then you get Icosa. ICSA is its symbol. And then you can also get Hedron. HDRN. And then if you stake Hedron, you just get Icosa. And then during the beginning of Icosa, he also did this crazy crazy game theory, where you could do a what's a NFT. Let's see here. We are all the source address. What's a? We are all the source address NFTs. So every day, based on how many Hedron and Icosa get dumped into the Icosa pool here, to make Icosa and that are sacrificed. And also, let me finish. Actually, I'll finish the what's a NFT, and then I'll go back to the how the Icosas were made and minted, right? So the what's a NFTs, you could take a bunch of coins and you could sacrifice them and wrap them up in an NFT. And this was only 14 days long. So for 14 days, you could basically make an NFT that you could sell and transfer. But once you unlocked it to receive all of the goodies inside, that was it. It's done. It's almost like breaking open a piggy bank and not being able to glue the piggy bank back together, or smashing open a piñata to get all the candy inside. You can't like tape the piñata and put the candy back in. I mean, I guess you can, but in this case you can't. In the NFT case, you cannot. Once you unwrap the NFT, it's gone forever. And I can't remember the amount of these that we started with. I believe it was like 22,000 or 2,000. And yeah, so as people unwrap their NFT, they get kicked out of the rewards pool. And that's it. Like that. So now the remaining piñatas or the remaining piggy banks get their share of the rewards. So this is like a game. This is like a game of chicken right here. Seeing who can hang on to it the longest. Chicken. And that's kind of cool. Let me check back. Let me check my. I'm going to try to turn my video back on, see if it'll work again. But I'm going to check the chat here and see if it'll go back. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Red Squirrel, what's up? What's up? Daniel Polk in the house. Hello, good friends. Good to see you all. It's really good to see you, Daniel. Can we get Kool-Aid on to critique this chart? It's hilarious. Any happy little accidents in there? Oh my gosh. I don't know what you're referring to, but I may have drawn something really wrong. Or you're just referring to Bob Ross. This is very, very cool. I should have done different colors, but hindsight. Why don't we have a loan platform for HSI NFTs? Why don't we have a loan platform for HSI NFTs? I think that every HSI is its own loan platform because, and I didn't draw this on here, but when you do an NFT through the HSI, you can loan your future Hedron that you're going to earn during the life of that. And if you don't, that's how they end up with the auction, which I don't even have room on here to write about the auction yet. So I might have to start all over again or erase some of it. But yeah, so you have the auction where, but it would be nice to have a loan platform for the NFTs. So you're saying that you use the HSI NFT as collateral instead of the Hedron for, instead of just using a Hedron for loan or payback. That's interesting. Sandy Beach is in the house. Holy cow. She says, good to make it to a live stream. It's good to have you here, Sandy Beach. Good to see you. Orezo Ventagen, at Red Squirrel, at Finbear, you guys are everywhere. They really are. And Sandy Beach too. Yes, for sure. Yeah, she loves supporting the community. Sweaty says, wow, that whiteboard, love it. I was actually hoping to come back to my StreamYard page and see anyone in the green room that could help me flesh some of this out and add a second voice to this. But for now, it's just me. So let's go back. Let's go back to the whiteboard. And so we have the what's a NFTs that were all minted that are sitting there So there's What's being poured. There's Icosa being poured into the What's NFTs. There's Icosa being poured into the staked Hedron, and there's Icosa being poured into the staked Icosa, which comes out as Icosa and Hedron both, right? Jeez Louise, crime in Italy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going to need to, I wonder if I can shrink this down and make this make this bigger, like zoom out or something. There's got to be a way to zoom out. Let me see if I can zoom this out. Control minus. Nope, that is not doing shiz. All right, let's see if I can zoom out over here. If I can zoom out by any way, nope, that's not what I want to do. No, ma'am. Yeah, if I can figure out how to zoom out of this and then right on the side of it, we're set, bros. Let me see here. Nope, I'm not seeing a way to drag it. I know someone right now that's familiar with whiteboards and stuff is like screaming at the computer how to do it, but I don't know how right now. So we're going to use a big ass eraser. We're going to erase some of this. So you guys are going to have to remember what's going on with Maxi and all this over here. I'm going to erase all this stuff right here and the team, because we're going to connect the two, because Dipcatcher is he's a coding ninja. I'm convinced that that Dipcatcher is not human. He's possibly an alien or something to that effect, because of just the sheer genius and savant intelligence he comes at with this game theory and with this with this ecosystem. He just gets things so quickly and easily. It's intuitive for him. Game theory and contracts and mechanics, tokenomics, just seem very intuitive to him. And not to take anything from Gold Key, he's part of the team as well. Obviously, it's just we see Dipcatcher sitting on stream hours a day coding in real time. It blows my mind, right? So we're trying to erase all this right here. And I'm sure, unless you guys are into ASMR, the sound of me clicking and moving the mouse right next to the microphone has got to be just grinding. But I'm just trying to make this as visual as possible for OGs, and because if you're an OG, it's always nice to see how this stuff connects. And obviously, if you go to Maximus.cash or Hedron.pro, they have way better flowcharts that explain their ecosystem and ways that you can, compound your interest and just keep feeding your interest back into the loop. So let me clean all this out here. So yeah, let's talk about HSIs and if you're going to use the. That's good. That's nice. Okay, so we got some space over here. So if you got an HSI stake, you can borrow your Hedron. Why is this skinny all of a sudden? Crime and Italy. No, I want it thicker. I don't know. So you got an HSI stake right here, which is a Hex stake, just like a regular Hex stake, except for it's made, it's wrapped in an NFT. And then you can borrow your Hedron. So let's say that during the life of your HSA stake, you're going to get like 1,000 Hedron paid out to you, right? Well, if you want to, you can take the Hedron, you can take a loan on those 1,000 Hedron today and have them to spend and use, wherever you want. So you can take those 1,000 Hedron and you can stake them, right? Or you can take those 1,000 Hedron and turn them into Icosa and stake the Icosa. Whatever you want to do. You can sell them on the market. You can go buy candy and lollipops, right? But you need to make payments every 30 days. At 90 days of you not making your payments, your HSI stake that you are using as collateral goes to auction, right? So you got an auction here, and people can bid on your HSI stake with Hedron. Now, if you make your payments to this loan, to the 1,000 Hedron loan, if you make your payments, every time you make payments, the Hedron that you're paying with gets burnt. So that cuts down the supply of Hedron. And then during the auction, when people bid with Hedron, it's pronounced Hedron. When they bid with Hedron on these at the auction right here, you get all the winning bid. All of the winning bid gets burnt and destroyed. So all that Hedron gets burned as well, which lowers the supply of the Hedron, right? So you got this auction right here. Now, the crazy thing about the Icosa is that when Icosa was made, they allowed people to sacrifice HSI stakes to Icosa, and they could sacrifice them and get Icosa in return. And as soon as they sacrifice those HSI stakes, it automatically put them in default. Here, it put them in the 90-day default. And so we know that all those HSI stakes that were sacrificed to Icosa are going to go up for auction. And the problem with the auction is that they're trying to make the auction as fair as possible. But there's a lot of ways to game a system, especially electronically in computers. People can write bots and scripts. And, you know, there's a rule that if someone bids in the last 5 minutes, it kicks out 5 more minutes so that someone can't use a bot and go in at the very last second and swoop in and steal these, like people used to do on bids on eBay. If you remember back in the day, people had bots where they could go back on eBay and do that. Going back here to comments, says yes, collateral instead of Hedron to loan out for USD or ETH. Yep. I don't know. The icing on it is that we get copied on Pulse Chain one day. Oh, yeah, so that's smart. So instead of giving up your keys to your HSI, you still get your copy even though you're taking a loan out on it. I see that. That's pretty smart. Red Squirrel saying hi to Orezo. Red Squirrel says, now put that all on 4 chains. Yes, we should be getting this on multiple chains. And then Daniel says, all the guys in the Hex system are awesome. And gals too, Sandy V Chads. Yes, they are. They're very awesome. Oh my gosh. Look at this. This is the stream I was watching last night in prep for today. We got Crypto Sloth in the house. What is up, you busy dental student, you?
Not much, man. Just hopping on stream before I go do one more other thing. But
yeah, you were blowing my mind with a lot of the stuff that you were breaking down. Go ahead. How about now?
So my there's an Amber Alert on my phone, and I was like, "What's going on? Why is there's like sirens going off? What's happening?" Because my headphones are also connected to my phone too. That was weird.
Who's banging at the door, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Sandy Beach. So cool to see you here. Sandy Beach says, Sloth, Daniel, it's cool. There's a minimal bid on every auction. Yeah, so I was watching your your stream with KSB TV last night. It was blowing my mind. Some of the mechanics and consequences of it were things that I hadn't considered at all. And as you can see on the whiteboard, I'm doing a very clean and concise, simple, easy way. You know, like that guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's much like Charlie explaining the ecosystem to a new person. And I was just getting into how Poly is connected to Alex's Icosa and Hedron system. So I'm going into HSI stakes, what they do, how they work, how the auctions work, how borrowing against them works. And so basically, Dipcatcher said, hey, instead, he took the idea of competing with the whales with Maximus and did this beautiful way for all of us to come together and compete against the whales for bonuses and to cut down on fees. And then he took the same approach with Hedron and the auctions, right?
Yep.
He said, why don't we just pool all of our Hedron and as one giant group go in and try to get as many of these HSI T-shares, because remember the T-shares and the T-shares and the HSI, they're very much connected right here. Boom. Right? So he says we're going to pool all of our Hedron. Let me write Hedron here, my nice handwriting. So we're going to pool all of our Hedron. 1-to-1 will have a minting phase where you can mint your Hedron and turn it into poly. Right? So here's this big poly pool right here of everyone. And this poly pool is going to take aim and try its best to get as many of the T-shares from the auction. And then we can split the rewards and the bounty among all the poly holders.
Yep.
Because right now, Hedron is going to probably take quite a few years for the T-share, B-share rate to what am I trying to say? To get harder to get, right? So like the supply of T-shares and B-shares is going to lessen over time because it's going to take more Hex staked to get the same amount of T-shares and B-shares. And therefore, you'll get less Hedron over time. But for right now, there is a sea of Hedron all over the place. And so, like I said, these Maxi guys went over and this is going to be coming out in November right here very soon. In fact, they have it on testnet. They've been building the front end, and it's amazing. Like I said, it's unreal to watch Dipcatcher work tirelessly all day, every day. It's insane. And so not only have they created this amazing Maximus DAO and team ecosystem, they've connected to the whole ecosystem together with the Poly Maximus. Let me write Maximus here, because I believe that's the name of it. Poly Maximus is going to be a place for you to pool all of your Hedron coins that you've been accumulating for holding B shares, and you've been accumulating through staking Icosa and Hedron. Sorry, Hedron. Or no, Icosa. You haven't been getting Hedron for staking Hedron. You've been getting Icosa. But either way, you can pull all of your economic power into here and really keep those T shares off the market as well. Right? So, I mean, I actually don't understand this whiteboard, even though I just drew it.
You need a couple iterations to get it distilled.
It made sense as I drew it, and hopefully it makes a little more sense for someone out there that's visually wants to see it and isn't into the really beautiful looking stuff on their web pages. You know, maybe they need something that looks like you know, someone who's just fired from what's it called at night on a Cartoon Network?
Tsunami.
Yeah, Tsunami, or so one of the. It looks like a failed artist on
failed cartoonist.
Yeah, for sure. Adult Swim. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to go. Yeah, this looks like someone that would never make it in Adult Swim, even with the crazy animation they have. But either way, like here's the kind of an idea of the whole ecosystem kind of drawn out, and this is just the beginning, man. This is just.
Yep.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is insane.
Yeah, I mean the whole system, the whole Icosahedron system hasn't even really started yet because the auctions haven't gone live yet. Even from the launch of Hedron, where it was launched and it was done, and we all thought it was done. Alex had Icosa in his back pocket at the same time, and so because he had it in his back pocket, like technically it wasn't finished yet. And we don't really see all of the pieces on the board or all of the pieces moving, all of the cogs and like the entire ecosystem's wheel. We don't see them start to move until November 13th. So, it's a big day. It's a big day. Everything's finally getting started, and we can see the whole ecosystem moving and working together as a whole for the first time.
For sure. I'm trying to turn my Elgato back on. But it's still It just doesn't want to show up here. There we go.
Hey, what's up, man?
Woo!
Good to see you.
Happy days. Yeah, I dressed up really, really nice because I have a friend, a family friend visiting town that actually works with the Chinese office of a really big exchange, and he's coming here and talk shop with me. And then I invite everyone else in the city. Everyone else is out living their lives like they're supposed to as Hexicans. And I felt this incredible need to jump up with another tech talk and try to go through as much technical stuff as possible, because the stuff we've gone through in this last year of the bear market it used to take 3 years to come anywhere close to this much code and this many products launching. And we've done it in a matter of months. It's insane. It's totally insane.
Yeah, so, the velocity of everything moving is getting faster and faster as more and more things get created. Because I mean that's kind of like the definition of complexity in a way, where like if you have more pieces, there are more ways to combine them. And if there are more ways to combine them, there are more opportunities for people to create and innovate on top of. So like as more things get created, that begets the potential, that increases the probability that there's something else to create afterwards too.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I said, and then you and the other amazing streamers in the community are always bringing me things that I hadn't even considered. That like once I hear you say them, it's like, well, duh, of course that's gonna pump this or cut down this supply. But it just, there's so many moving parts in our brains right now. And like I said, I've met so many people that know about Richard Hart and know about Pulse from the Sacrifice, but they don't know all this stuff. They don't know about the pre stuff, and they don't know about this current stuff with Icosa, Hedron, and Maximus. So this is like an entire expansion pack. This is an entire DC universe almost, right?
Yep. The Richard Hart cinematic universe.
It really is. And in my opinion, Hedron, Icosa, and Maximus, to me, those are canon. If this were like the Catholic Church and we wanted to say which gospels are considered official and which ones are like the crazy stuff.
They've been anointed by Richard Hart. He's brought them into the fold.
For lack of a better word, I don't know if people have heard of the Apocrypha, but the Apocrypha are all these books that didn't make the cut for whatever reason. They talk about dragons.
Nicaea, they said, nope, we don't want you. You're not part of it.
And so technically, a lot of these other products that are complements, I believe, and held to the same standard as Richard Hart products, they're not quite adopted into the family. A lot of them aren't live yet. A lot of them are slated to go live when Pulse comes out. A lot of really cool stuff that I'm excited about.
Anything like Liquid Loans, Power City, stuff like that.
Definitely, and then of course I forget the name of it, but OX Coast was talking about the Fiat On-Ramp. You got wait.
I'm excited about that.
I do not understand wait to save my life. I've claimed some tokens over there.
It's in the ticker, man. It's in the ticker. What do you mean you don't understand it? It's literally telling you what to do in the name of the token. There's nothing else to understand.
I feel like I am waiting. I feel like we don't have a choice. So I am waiting. I just don't know what I'm waiting for. But what he said about the Fiat On-Ramp that he was talking about made way more sense than how wait may or may not interact with that whole ecosystem. We're gonna have to wait and find out, right? And then you got the Pulse Doge boys, you got Pulse the Pulse Bitcoin and all this other stuff.
Did you do any of that? Any of the Pulse Bitcoin stuff?
No, I haven't at all. I once I saw them dump their coin at like $9 or $10, and I knew that the whales didn't have diamond hands, I was like, I'm out.
Oh, really? I haven't been paying attention to it that much. It was like founders dumping, or it was like whales dumping? Or whales dumping.
I'm assuming that maybe not the founders, but maybe the whales were like,
gotcha.
Because their idea was like, hey, we'll hold no matter what, and we'll push this into the stratosphere, but everyone's got their price. Right? Like
I think they were also pushing like single-sided liquidity to exit a position too. I don't remember. I think Gunther was talking about that.
They may have been punishing people that were dumping too. That's totally an option. But whether or not that, whatever's going on there, I just figure if a lot of this stuff, like I didn't participate in liquid loans back in the day, the sacrifice anyways. I really liked the idea of the stable coins and what they're trying to put together. But at the same time, I thought if they actually pull this off, then I can get in later when it's finished and participate. And that's kind of how I feel about Bitcoin, Pulse Bitcoin and Pulse Doge and the other things. And for instance, there's one called Win-Win, and Win-Win sounds cool. It's just a big savings account with like prizes, and the longer you've been sitting in their pool, the more likely you are to get one of their. It kind of feels like a game of bingo or something, right?
Kind of, yeah. But it's like pseudo gambling, pseudo lotto tickets, but like you're still staking your coins through them. I got into liquid loans. I think I threw a little bit into Mintra, but if I'm happy about the liquid loans one. The Mintra is kind of whatever. I would have liked to get more into Fiat. That sacrifice set I think was pretty exclusive, and they did a good job on that. And I probably would have liked to get into Power City if I had the chance to, and the funds. Those are the two other ones I'm excited to see: Power City, liquid loans, and Fiat. Those ones have caught my attention. I think Fiat's doing another sacrifice set for a different product. It's called Famous, like famous.io. And I think that one is, one's leverage trading, like decentralized leverage trading.
Cool. And then you've got Free Pulse IO, right?
Yeah, the faucet. Yeah, that's going to be pretty good too.
That's also a set of gambling games or chance games.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. It's like the faucet's free, but there's also like it's also a mini casino too.
Now you were saying that there was a limited sacrifice for which coin? Fiat. So they said, what were they saying? We're only going to accept so much, or only so many of addresses? Only so much.
It's like it was $1 million or $2 million, something like that. Like less than $5 million, but more than one. And they're like, once we hit this much, that's it.
I believe Win-Win's the same way. Because when I was looking at Win-Win, they said we'll accept $1 million of sacrifice, and that's it. And they're somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 last I checked. So that's really interesting too.
So anyone who got into Fiat is good. I think that one's going to do pretty well. So at some point, like my general Pulse chain plan is to like slowly like use the yield that I'm getting in my main coins, and then like build positions in these other yield generating tokens, and then just like have this perpetual income machine on Pulse chain across all the systems. So, but I think your notion is right. Like if you didn't get in the sacrifice, like that's okay. You're still pretty early once Pulse chain launches and once they get live. And then, Daniel, he said, we forgot to mention internet money is also a big one, a big player in like the stuff on Pulse chain, like the services protocols that are going to be launching on Pulse chain.
Yeah. Did you make this profile pic for Red Squirrel?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
I love it. Slothy, Mudhog. So we're live, LOL.
Yeah, it's not that impressive. It's just like AI generated art.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
I liked it. Well, I made it, and I was like, oh, yeah, Red Squirrel would like this one. So.
Yeah, he says, personally, I'm not messing with the auctions. Just stake through them and take the yield. That's the easy way. That's the cool thing about all of these systems is you can be as hands-off as you want, or you can be in there just like elbow deep playing with all of the game theory, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And in my predilection is to not participate as well. Because I just want to capture as much value from other people burning their Hedron as possible. Because if other people are burning their Hedron, then your relative position in Hedron is going up, obviously. If the whales are burning it and like maybe your relative position isn't going up that much, like they're relieving their sell pressure. So like the token has a higher chance of appreciating in price going forward. So then by holding the token, you get to take advantage of that. And then also all the burnt Hedron translates into Icosa yield. So the more Hedron and Icosa you have staked, then the more yield you're going to get from all of this Hedron being burned.
So it's like a virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
One feeds into the other. Sandy says, do we have a date for poly minting? Thanks. I think the date I heard from Dipcatcher was November 3rd. I know it's very, very soon.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty soon, pretty close. Hey, homies. If anyone who has anyone who had staked Hex on July 4th or sacked for Poly I'm sorry, Pulse or Pulse X, you've got about 15 days now, 20 or 15 days left
Texan token?
to go claim 1 million Texan token. And it doesn't look like they're waiting for Pulse anymore. It looks like they're planning on going live at the end of the free claim. So they might launch on Ethereum if they have to. I know that they've got an obligation to the TNM, who they've been trying to help out with their fundraising abilities. And so they're looking to launch and get going. And they've also been putting together a really impressive online education course. So they've been talking about creating a course where you actually do the work and get a certificate, and then you would get airdropped Texan tokens for completing the course on cryptocurrency and learning how to open a wallet and take care of your keys and all that stuff. So that's pretty exciting. I like that. I like that incentivization for learning, because it is so. I was telling, I went and picked up my daughter's car from the mechanics. And he was asking, he's like, I don't get crypto. I don't understand that stuff at all. And I said, it's kind of like if I walked in here and I tried to learn Portuguese and how to work on your cars at the same time. Like if I tried to learn a different language and a new skill at the same time, which that's what crypto is, I would have to have a burning desire. I'd have to be really highly motivated to get over that learning curve. And if I didn't know anyone personally that spoke Portuguese or worked on cars, it would be really, really difficult, almost impossible for me to tackle both of them. But let's say I walk in here and I have a burning desire, like let's say that whatever my highest wish and dream would come true if I get this down, and I walk into the shop and someone there is really good at speaking Portuguese and teaching it. Now I've got a shot. Now I've got it in. And that's how I talk about, because everyone's interested in crypto, but they don't have someone to hold their hand, teach them the language, and walk them through the simple steps of becoming your own bank, which is a huge skill. Like that's not a small feat for anyone, because it's not even a paradigm they can wrap their head around of being their own bank, you know? Daniel says, minting start when it's back from audits and finalized. We hope the 4th of November. Look at this. Daniel's on it. Thanks, Daniel. Oops, I don't want to sound like an official. I'm just repeating what I heard. I'm hoping to go part-time in January because of the ecosystem. I need to keep up, especially when Pulse Chain launches. Of course, yes. Sloss is here. Yeah. You got so many fans here, man.
Yeah, so people have been very generous, very supportive. I've really appreciated the community support.
Yeah, Sandy got into Fiat. Red Squirrel says liquid loans could be the heart of your Pulse Chain engine. Yeah, definitely.
Pretty much.
Win-win.
As I take profits and all of the different coins that I have into probably USDL, like you just throw it in the stability pool and earn yield on your dry powder. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, Red Squirrel's mentioning Tshr. So I don't know if that's like Mintra or not. But
I don't know what it is personally. I have to look into it. But if Red Squirrel recommends it, I'll take a look.
Yeah, for sure. And then Sandy Beach says Sloth is so cool. I've been trying to get a hold of the person that seems to understand or seems to be able to translate coding into English the best for me is David Feeder. So when he can go look at the GitLab and understand what is actually going on and tell us what's going on. And the last update he gave that I saw was basically like, well, we don't know. like basically Richard Hart has a lot of decisions to make. And he also is fighting the clock because now that ETH 2.0 has come out, he has we're in an attention economy, right? So if they start taking all the attention away from people that were all focused on waiting for Pulse Chain, he's got to get that attention back. He's got to make a move within so many days or hours, right?
Yeah,
that's the way I see it. But at the same time, he's a virtuoso. Like Richard Hart is a lot like Michael Jordan, right? He's a lot like I don't know, think of like Tiger Woods. Like there are certain people that come along in a generation that do things differently. And Richard Hart is a virtuoso at creating community. And I believe that community is the most powerful thing in crypto, because crypto and all money is a social consensus, right? So if you don't have a society or a community, you can't have people participating. Nothing's exactly.
You have to have participation.
Yeah, and so because Richard Hart is a virtuoso, he likes to put his stamp on things. He likes to put his flavor and style on things. So he's not going to be happy with a straight up copy paste, fix a few bugs, make it faster. He really is going to want to make it stand out from the crowd, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with him creating Pulse Chain, it's just going to give him more opportunity to do all of that. You know, outside of just like he won't just have a smart contract on Ethereum anymore. He'll not own the infrastructure, but he'll have major influence over the infrastructure now, because you know it's him and his team that are going to be doing a lot of the work to produce upgrades and produce changes.
Yeah, Red Squirrel says, in short, anything you can do manually on blockchain, Tshr can automate. So it sounds like it's a software for automating stuff on blockchain. Pulse Chain Trainer, my homie from Texas. Did someone say community? Let's go, fam. I'll tell you what, one of the big reasons I want to get back to Houston area is because Pulse Chain Trainer and the crowd in the Houston area are amazing. Not to dox him, but the chefs in the community and all those guys, like, we showed up in Austin and I was blown away by the Hexagon community. Not Austin, Houston. That was great. And Austin had a big group too that was kind of amazing. Oi, Burner Boy, Hex.
What's up, Larry?
And Sloth. Oh,
good
man.
To see you, man.
Yeah, good to see Larry too. What's up? And then I approve of Tetra, says Lawrence Roland. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good. I can't believe you guys are here in the chat. I did want to go over. So to summarize, Richard Hart is in this crazy position where he's got to improve something, make a decision, and launch. In a prudent manner, like in a timely manner, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Richard. I have a ton of faith in Richard, and at the same time, I mean, I haven't heard anything about the ETH forks lately. Have you?
No, that hype cycle is pretty much gone. I still what I did was I put a little bit of money into Ethereum Fair, like very little bit, because it got me so much Hex relative to my bag. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And then I just set up liquidity with Hex and Hedron and like Hex and Icosa, and I just let that be my DCA. So like, you know, however much the volume is, like I'm just accumulating a small bit of those coins over time, and if anything ever happens with it, great. But like, yeah, I think most of the attention has gone away from it now, which is fine, which was to be expected. A lot of the prices have been dropping. Let me look at the price.
Okay.
But yeah, I was happy. I was really happy to see Hex be so dominant on those chains in terms of like volume so early. You know, we had Dipcatcher and Alex basically make their protocols live on the these two chains pretty quickly. So like if you wanted a metric for like what kind of communities are utilizing DeFi in an efficient manner, and which communities are knowledgeable about like navigating DeFi, I think Hex kind of really showed that it's standing out from the rest of the crowd in terms of users being active users understanding how DeFi works. Yeah,
definitely, and really, that's what really our whole point of our Texas tour was you can't onboard somebody if they don't understand what they're doing, right? And so we went down to one community, and the Hexagon community, we were trying to merge the two together, because it's great for me to be available on Zoom or on YouTube or on my email. But if you know someone in your hometown that's a Hexagon that's going to help you get started, then that's so much more powerful.
Yeah.
Right. And going back to ETH Fair and ETHW, He says doing a lot lately. ETH slowing down. ETHW slowing down a bit. Well, we are coins there and wait. I guess we'll leave our coins there and wait. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, ETH Fair, ETH Proof of Work dropped down a lot. It went to like 3/10, not 3/10, but 3% of a penny. And then on the Fair network, it's 1% of a penny right now. But like liquidity super low. It's like it's really nothing to write home about. I wouldn't be putting in any serious money into this outside of like a small bet just in case something happens in the future. But yeah.
Paul Sachs asks, just curious, are we around day 33 of Hex on ETH and ETHW? Community is most important, but how big of a threat is OFAC to the Ethereum chain? I don't know. I really don't know. Like all this stuff in the future when it comes to laws. I'll tell you what, every law that's passed is going to benefit banks and politicians. I can tell you that with the 99% surety. Okay. That's kind of how it's gone, right? On the other hand, the technology is evolving so quickly, there's no chance for government to keep up and regulate it. There just isn't. Like, how do you think they're going to figure out what your profit is in your poly based on your T-shares in the future if you're leveraging that? Like, there's so many moving parts that they're going to have a problem figuring that out, right?
So we can innovate faster than they can regulate, basically. That kind of thing. Yeah,
they're always going to be followers behind, but their answer is always going to be to control something, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Kool-Aid's coming on here. He's getting out of the hot tub. He's ready to rock and roll.
Come on.
Yeah. All right. I did want to say, so OFAC is dangerous, great for ETHW though. It might be. Now, I mean, let's go back to how do you say this? Let's go back to. Let me copy the in-like feed. Let's go back to ETH Classic, right? So ETH and ETH Classic fork. ETH Classic does pretty good on the next spike. Now it's pretty much dead. Yep. Like what? There's not a lot of life, not a lot of hash power, not a lot of trading in ETH Classic. I think that's the way that these forks of ETH are going to do. I think one of them will take off on this next spike and die, and that'll be it. That's my guess. Whatever the hashing power and the attention is on these forks, one of those might have a good run. So if you're able to take some money out of that that fork on the next wave, I would do it personally. That's the way I think about these forks. Because what's the point of having ETH a proof of work unless you're the dude that's benefiting from it?
Yeah, at most, probably one will wildly succeed for a period of time, but the probability of all of them being vastly successful is fairly low, at least as far as I can tell. But I still think it's worth paying attention to, as like Larry was saying, it's like a case study. Like, let's see what happens. It's just more data for us to analyze, and because Hex is on there, we do have an incentive to not promote it, but to support it to some degree, just because we have our contract on there. There's one more thing that I think is important to say with that. What was it? Oh yeah, I am really interested to see what the price of the Hex on these chains do when Hex goes higher. So like, there is some ratio, I think, where people will value Hex on the proof of work chains versus Hex on Ethereum or Hex on Pulse chain. And so if people have some kind of intrinsic ratio of how to value those two tokens, say when Hex does a 10x, do these other tokens also do a 10x? And the reason why they may do that is because of this kind of heuristic, or like this kind of thought experiment. So it's like, if Hex is $1, but you would need $100,000 to get 100,000 Hex. What if you could put $100 into the ETH proof of work chain at that point and get 100,000 Hex? Would you do it? That's a question. Like, would you do it? Like, if Hex is $1 and you can still get 100,000 hex for $100 on the ETH proof of work chain, would you do it?
Yeah.
So by just saying yes to that question, that means there is some intrinsic valuation of these two tokens that you have, sure, where as the hex price goes up on Pulse Chain or Ethereum, like you automatically see the a deal presented on the other chains. And so that's kind of like the thought I go through, was like, okay, so as hex starts to pump, will it just naturally bring these other tokens with it because they're to some degree the same thing?
Right. Sandy says, thanks for the stream. Got to add my Hedron stake. Have a great night. And then Red Squirrel says the narrative for ETHW is way stronger than ETH Classic, though. I agree to that. ETH proof of stake is no longer crypto. Yeah, I think that there's an argument to be made for that. I mean, considering what crypto is supposed to be. But then again, I mean, is Bitcoin really crypto anymore? I mean, it is, but is it fulfilling the dreams of crypto? Yeah. Like the purpose of crypto? Is Bitcoin really getting rid of middlemen right now?
Well,
I think a little
Bitcoin,
bit.
It's already been pretty much co-opted. Like the entities that want to have centralized power have accumulated enough Bitcoin to be able to economically control it. And from a code standpoint, or from a Bitcoin standpoint, you can't really do anything about that because anybody who wants to own Bitcoin can own it.
Yeah, so it can be used as a crypto, and it can be used to get rid of middlemen. I don't think it's being used that much to get rid of middlemen right now, unfortunately. But I mean, that goes out. And now I did want to pull up my awesome whiteboard again, because I've been telling people the time to plan for the bull market is in the bear market, and the time to plan for the bear market is in the bull market. Everyone right now is worried about the bear market, and I'm telling them no. Like that, if you are not already DCAing in and have a plan to scoop right now, it's almost too late. Like, yeah, scoop and accumulate if you can, but you should have been planning this in 2021 when you were when everyone was rich and money was falling from the sky. Right?
You should be that's one of my plans for this next bull run. Whenever it happens, like when Pulse Chain launches, when like we get the halvening, and if the halvening can like help trigger another macro bull run in crypto, like once that starts, it's like, okay, let's accumulate a bear market fund where you know like you take profits and then you take some of that and you just put it away for the next bear market whenever those prices are lower.
Yeah. So I'm gonna add this to stream right here. So basically, people have asked me, you know, how do I get my money? Like, let's say that everything that you guys want to happen happens, and how do I get my money out of crypto? And the truth is, there's no one knows the top and the bottom of the market, right? Absolutely nobody, except for maybe the Illuminati, right? Let's make sure we get on
just the market makers
get flagged. Yeah, the market makers have a good idea of it, and they kind of know where they're going to push it and kind of where they're not. But let's take this spikel, the 4-year spikel, right? So you got this big old spike, and then you got this crash, right? And then it goes down, and then it tricks your ass and goes like this, and then it spikes up, and then you have the next one, And in this case, we had a second one because apparently the bankers don't talk to each other and needed a do-over right here. That's my guess. So let's say you have like whatever your size of bag is, right? If the smaller your bag, the more you're going to have to tweak this formula. But the bigger your bag, the more you can step on the gas with this formula, right? And the other thing is, like, this isn't always straight up right here on the spike. Usually you get kind of like this right here, right? And so when you're doing this, and unfortunately right now the only stable that I kind of trust is USDC. I mean, I don't even trust it, to be honest, right? I don't trust it any more than I have to. I'll put it that way. So you got this big old bag. What you need to do right now is you need to determine how much of your bag you're going to sell at what prices, right? So let's say that these right here are doubles. This is the price doubling right there, right? So it's doubling, 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 right? you need to know what percentage of your bag you're selling at each of these doubles ahead of time, because in the moment you're going to freak out and you're going to let your emotions do the choices, and your emotions suck at at choices, right? So a simple formula for this would be like 10%, right? So let's say I'm going to sell 10% of my bag, or whatever's liquid. Obviously, you can't sell what's staked. You're going to have to let that ride these out, which is good. But you're going to sell 10% of your bag every time the price doubles, right? And hopefully, if you're lucky, you get, this top right here spikes for a day, and you can get your little 10% up here at the top if you're super lucky. The chances are it'll be somewhere else, right? So if you had, let's say you had, to make this simple, you have 100 tokens of whatever it is. So at this point right here, you'd sell 10 tokens, then you'd sell 9 tokens. See where I'm going with this? And then 10% of 81 is basically 8 tokens, right? And then that would be 81 minus 8 is 73. So you get like 7.3 tokens sold here, right? And so on, 6. So you'd be selling all the way up, but it's almost like a half-life of an atom, to where you're never running, you're never exhausting your bag and selling completely out. And then right here, this at the top right here, this is where you plan your DCA strategy on the way back in, right? So now you're going to say, okay, out of all these tokens that I sold, out of this new, we'll call it your new bag of profit, right? Of powder, bag of powder up here. You can say, all right, I'm going to do like 10% when it drops in half of my bag, whatever it is. And then I'm going to do another 10% here. And then you might say, if it drops again in half, then maybe here I'm going to do like 30% of my bag, right? And then if it drops in half again, which crypto does this often, you can drop half of your bag in right here, right? And then hopefully you've got some income from a job, or from cash flowing real estate, or something, some side gig. And then you've got your DCAs going in here, where you don't care what the price is. You're going to DCA through the bear market right here, DCA, right? But right here, right, this is where we're at right now. I believe this is where we're at right now. I don't think that we've fallen the last kick in the nuts has not happened to us yet.
We got some more pain ahead of us.
I think we got one more kick in the nuts at least. But once we get more right here, this is where you plan your next profit taking strategy. A self-help homie named Jim Rohn used to say, in the summer, you think about the winter, and in the winter, you think about the summer. And that's really good advice, because when everything's going great in your life, the summer, you need to be like, okay, well, if stuff goes bad, or eventually things are going to change, I should probably be putting some money away. I should probably be, doing some backups and just securing myself. And then in the winter, when times are tough, the idea is, why don't I, because life sucks right now, I need to remember that summer is coming. And I need to plan for the good, because it changes your state of mind. And when the good comes, you're ready to take advantage of it, right? And so this is my 3rd or 4th cycle that I've been through on crypto, and I wish someone had sat down and taught me this the first few spikes, because I just rode them and loved life and hated life. All those emotions on that chart, they're real. Yeah, you're just like angry and in denial, and then sad, and it's tough, right? And so this is what I would tell people is to think about. Larry says half-life is key. He says 10, 40, 80. Yeah. Sloth is a circular. It's a circular. Oh, he's talking about earlier. Yeah. So half-life is key. Yeah. Basically, that's the way to do it, because you literally will end up with free tokens if you just do a formula, and the formula is based on fees, and the formula is based on bag size. If you have a tiny bag, you do need the price to double or triple to make it worth the fees going in and out. If you have a giant bag, you can every
20% move can be crazy.
Yeah, a 1% move, a 1 cent move in Hex can be worth buying in and buying out. And then also, let me just pull this up really quick right here too. Because this goes up and down up here, if you go up and you sell 10% on a bull market, when it comes back down here, oh, I'm not on the right one. When it comes back down to here, if it comes back down to this area right here, then you're taking 50% of what you just of your bags and you're dumping it back in. Right? So you're buying so you would have sold 10, then you would have take 5 tokens back, put it back in, and now instead of 100, you have 105, right? And then you're doing 9% of 105 and so forth. So every time it's going up or down, depending on when you're going up or down, if you want more money or more bags, you're actually buying back in, because it isn't a straight line. It's like a piston pumping up and down, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if that helps.
I appreciate that. Hey man, thanks for having me on. I actually got to jump off. I got to go get one thing done really quickly, man. Hey, but I had a ton of fun hanging out with you, man.
Much love, much love. I've got someone in the green room right now with just smoke coming out of his ears.
Oh, perfect timing.
So yeah. Hey, buddy.
What's up, man?
You ready?
My dearest to dentist and my dearest to burner friends, how the fuck are you?
We're doing really
great,
well.
Man.
Good to see you.
I'll let you guys take over from here. I gotta go do one thing. So
Sloth, go to your homework. Get shit done so you can fix my goddamn teeth. Get your homework done.
That's the plan. Peace out, guys. Peace out, audience.
Peace out.
Take care.
Thank you so much for being here. All right. Well, your gain's up really high on your mic. Can you turn that
hold on.
A little bit? Dude, you look great. Were you just relaxing in a hot tub or something?
That's what I do. So hold on. Let me drop back in when I'm not muted to your stream, because Bobby had a question that he did a DCA ladder and he DCA'd himself into poverty. And that is actually not correct. Because when you are actually DCAing, hold on, mute, come back up, behave,
Bobby
mute.
or
Bobby Hex Lord. So let's see, I don't have my glasses on right now. You first got in, Pulse Stack was the first exposure. Okay. So I was in on all the Ponzi's in 17 because I'm a student loan debt slave. I have $250,000 in student loans. And I paid $1,500 a month for 11 years. And hold on, I've got other things playing stupid shit. Yeah. So even if
can you do
are we on our mic still?
It's just really high. Your gain's really high.
Okay, 1 second, sir. Mixer. Where the hell's the damn mic? I'll try not to be loud. I'll whisper. I'll do your ASMR.
You just start doing some ASMR. It'll match my voice.
It'll all be cool hexers and 215.
For sure.
Yeah, of course. So talking back to what Bobby was saying, hold on, I've got too many other things popping around. If you actually did a decent staking ladder, which means that you go 3, 6, 9, 15, 10, 15, all the rest of those things, you're precursing your variable into the future. And though you may be down now, you have to look at what you will gain in the future of an epoch of an ecosystem. And even he was saying that it's his first conundrum, first time touching the basis. And let's just compare it, because you and I are both burners. Your first aspect to Burning Man, if you didn't go into an RV, is going to be very, very, very different than if you have an RV. With the Hex ecosystem, you can take everything that you have and garner the protection that you would have with water, shower, air conditioning, food, microwave, all the rest of that. Whereas most people, their first time in, go in a tent. And so your first time in is very, very scary. but it's very rewarding because you survived it, right? And so if you DCA'd yourself into poverty, I just saw his post here. Sir, I custodian 100 different people's wallets, and I just went through, because they're children and don't do what I say, to try to get them their Texan token. And someone that I gave $5,000, it's $100 now. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, I'm down 6 million, but like, shit, I know what I gave you, and that's now $100, but it's still earning yield. And so even one of the people that it cost me $50 to unstake their stake, it's still worth 900, but I know what he put in versus what he got out based on the timing. So I think, Bobby, you were saying you got in at 15 cents. You're still under in the premium, but you're not under in the Tshr ratcheting up. So if we look at what RH Max just had a interview with Crispy, and I really didn't look at the hexfire.io site that much because the UI wasn't as sticky as I normally would like. But after watching that stream, there's so much depth of value into how he drills into these things that we can look at the componental variable that allows us to digest this and understand where it goes and where it pivots, which is actually more fundamental than worrying about dollar value. We only worry about things in dollars because we pay for it. OG crypto things rate people in Satoshis. And for us now, we need to look at what is our X on earning yield of assets under value. That's actually the most important thing to understand about your ladder and yield, plus the forks. So what Sloth and Hex Fire were talking about earlier between ETH-F and ETH-W, do I think a proof of work chain is going to be around in 15 years? Maybe. But you could extract value from it, and it is a use case to actually look at what's going to happen with Pulse Chain. Just as like the token from the Lantern that may be Jack, we don't talk about, it is an interesting use case on network effect and the Lindy effect. Both of those are applicable values that hexagons are not real hexagons. Study, we apply, we learn, and we build. And through that throughput, we can actually take that knowledge and actually use it as a simulation to understand where we're going and where we're going into. And so, no, again, I don't have my glasses on. Sorry, sir. But no, the fact that you understand where you are and where you will be going, it also goes in both ways, sir, because I didn't move my 401k into Hex till Steph made Staker app. That was the fundamental thing. Even though the captain had brought me on, I was helping with all these things in the back end. When I saw a middleware or a wetware built on top of it, I knew it couldn't be a Ponzi. It's impossible that would happen. And because of that timing, yes, I got a good rate on my T-shares, but I lost out on all those gains. Just like buying on the other end of the ping pong wheel, I didn't get as many gains and I'm down, but I'm still better off than where I would have been had I not. It does work almost as the old tabletop game, Chutes and Ladders. You have to understand how those things build and bind on top of each other.
That makes sense. Now, yeah, it's
By the way, do I still have a hot mic, X-Ray?
You're a little loud when you get excited, but you've calmed down. I think we're balancing each other pretty well. Red Squirrel says Hex Fire is amazing. I haven't looked into Hex Fire yet. So there's that. I was gonna say, yeah, a lot of hexagons and a lot of people that haven't been around to be exposed to these spikes. It's really hard to explain to them and get them to understand what it's like. Just like you said, let's say if the only way you can get to Burning Man is in a tent, you're going to be exposed to the elements and you're going to feel very vulnerable to all of the wind, the dust, the cold, the heat, the noise. It's going to be a completely different experience. But the next time you go to Burning Man, because of the valuable information you learned in that tent, embracing the suck, as they say,
yep,
the next time you're improved so much. And every spike of crypto is like that. It's like another trip to Burning Man where you're like, okay, last time, like for instance, I came with a bunch of a pretty nice accommodation, and I ignored my friend's advice to bring some freezer meals. I had a friend remind me over and over and over again, hey, this is the last day. You need to order them today so they'll show up at your house. You need to put them in your freezer. And I said no, because I hadn't suffered. I didn't have the wisdom. And I said, I have a meal plan. We basically have beautiful women bringing me food. That wasn't the case. The case was we had to travel an hour and a half and try to match their burning schedule, which is not a real schedule. It's not like people meet at 4 o'clock for a meal. They say things like, oh, it's at sundown. Well, sundown is subjective.
Yes,
right?
It is.
And depending on what's going on at the camp that night, they might move it up or down depending on, are we taking the art car out? Are we hosting a special speaker? Are we hosting a party? So we would show up if we showed up, because a lot of times we were just sleeping because Burning Man can be exhausting. So sometimes
it is exhausting. There is no could be, sir.
Yeah.
There is no could be.
We didn't even wake up to go over there sometimes, even try. But when we did, it was hit or miss, right? And towards the end of it, they broke down the camp. They didn't even have food at the last couple of days because they had to get stuff put up to go home. And so I remember going like Oliver from the musical Oliver, hat in hand, to my friend's trailer and begging him to take dirty fiat in replace for any food I could take. And of course, this guy didn't want to take fiat because it's Burning Man. He's a saint. But I did end up with these precious, precious meals that I actually ended up eating at home because
they're delicious, aren't they? They're absolutely fucking delicious.
They're really, really good. But that's the types of things that you learn when you stake yourself into poverty, and you feel the sun on your face, and you feel dehydrated and like jerky in the sun. The next time that you go to Burning Man or the next spike or the next bear or bull market, you're like, hey, I'm not gonna do it that way. I'm gonna order those meals, right? I'm going to change my stakes and change my liquid ratio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a learning process. And even people that are very intelligent, that are hexagons, that are here, we're still getting slapped in the face by life lessons, right?
Well, it's you always want to be the stupid person in the room, and you always want to grab on the things that push you forward to do it. And when you took those meals for me, as glorious as you would try to make me anonymous, it was delicious. And I was just like, I don't want your dirty fiat. Just take them. And it's like, no, you're doing a premium here. And that helped me out in the later. But then you went to the rogue burn afterwards, and you're like, I got meals for days, bitches. Right? And you were set because you understood how to segment and build onto your ecosystem as it goes. And you don't know that till you get there. The old term, you don't know what you don't know, is always damn prevalent. And it always kicks you in the dick and also kicks you in the ass to actually do it. Because then you understand.
See, and what you did was you took regular food and you're in a place where it was a premium. You basically minted your hex into Maximus. And I was pointing that out to you. I was like, no, you don't get this, Larry. This is gold. And you should not just throw it to people.
Yeah, but the difference is your family to me. So there is a touch of a difference. But the thing is that most good hexagons, and Hexray is one of the best that there is, they pay it forward because they actually understand the importance of paying it forward and having an ecosystem and a team of yes, not yes men, but yes, we will build together as a unit. And that is the most important part of being within the ecosystem and even minting yourself into poverty is once, if you just got in at 13, you wrote it up and wrote it down, shit, if you double down, I mean, God knows, with my student loan debt, it's hard for me to bring fiat back in. If you double down now at 4, you're and if you did 15, you're 3xing less your DCA average. And even if you did that with a very, very moniker low amount, let's say $200, $300. $300 actually has more metric weight at 4 cents than it does at anything else, especially not even understanding the derivatives. Don't play with the derivatives unless your hex bag is full. I can tell you why the derivatives are important, but you should always start with the core. The Tshr is the Dyson sphere. It's not even hex. When people say the term hex,
explain Dyson sphere.
All right, so a Dyson sphere is a sci-fi thing that you have the sun and you have solar panels here on Earth that acquire the energy to use it as energy. The best way to acquire the energy is to go to the sun and surround it with solar panels. Basically, accost it and then get the sun right from the faucet. That is the most important thing. If you look at a stake actually is closer to the faucet than an Icosa stake. Because as people leave the pool is less diluted. No one can ever come in there. So it itself regulates the amount of yield that comes in. So by having a Tshr, which Watsa, Hedron, Icosa, and even Maxi, the other perpetuals and stuff kind of divulge into themselves, which is what you're seeing now. I love Dipcatcher and Goldkey. They're fantastic people. Not talking shade at all. Fantastic fucking humans. I support them 1 trillion%. They have access to me 24/7, 365. But you have to look at the systemic design on mechanics. And what you want to do is build off of the Tshr. The thing is only Hex can actually garnish you the ticket to get on the Tshr train. And so when people hold liquid Hex, they're holding a ticket to a train they never get on. A plane ticket, they never fucking go through the PCR, the security check to get through. And so you have to understand the dynamism between that push and play.
So when you look at the Perpetuals, Maxi, and Team, you're looking at their access to a Tshr.
Again, this is a question for offline, my dear friend, because I do not want to talk shade. But like, I absolutely adore Dipcatcher and Goldkey. They are fantastic people doing fantastic things. As we know, that's why I don't come on streams. I'm not allowed to talk. But
let me tell you a story about Dipcatcher. May I?
Sure, of course. I met him in Vegas, and he was deliciously badass. We actually took a Uber together to the airport to fly out.
Yeah, Dipcatcher is the Rain Man of crypto. You can show him a jar of M&Ms, and he'll just tell you how many are in it. Because I was trying to come up with a game theory to encapsulate the entire Richard Hart ecosystem and close the loop. And I mentioned to you earlier, but I was trying to figure out some tokenomics that would create an ecosystem without a sacrificial dump coin, right? Because it seems like no matter what you do, there's always one coin that needs to be given out as an incentive that ends up taking the brunt of the sell pressure, right? So for months, 6-7 months, I was turning this stuff in my head, trying to make it all fit, trying to make it work, trying to close the loop system. And I'm at Nagabo's mansion party. The music is incredibly loud. I'm incredibly deaf. So me and him, we look like we're kissing each other's ear. We're so close. I'm yelling into his ear. He's yelling into mine, right? And as I'm telling him these thoughts that I've fostered for 6 or 7 months and used all my brain power on, he's finishing my sentence and telling me why they won't work in real time. Like he's literally like going down all the variables and saying dead end, dead end, dead end, no incentive, no tokenomics, blah, 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 just chopping it into pieces. And I knew that I hadn't closed the loop. It wasn't like I was trying to tell him a finished product or anything. I had just come to the point where it's like, oh yeah. So he did like the next 3 months of mental work for me in 10 minutes on a dance floor, yelling in my ear. Like he was light years ahead of where I was trying to like evolve some game theory, right?
Well, and you know my gripe is that the fact that people in crypto use my term makes me angry because
Which term is this?
Game theory.
Okay.
Has anybody shipped $1 billion game that uses that term? So game theory, for all the children that want to use the term, that I ask them what the real definition of game theory is, you have a parenthesis, and that's mechanics, and that's divided by systemic design, end parenthesis, times social consensus. What that means is, if I say that I have a chessboard, the pieces are the mechanics. They're the udders and the reels that do things. A pawn goes hop, hop. A rook goes up and to the left. A castle goes forward and backwards. A queen can go all spiral dynamics. Those are mechanics, but it's built on the board, systemic design. Now, if I take the pieces of chess and I flip it to checkers, the board doesn't change. The systemic design doesn't change. The mechanics are inherently the same. So a checker only knows how to go up and hop, up and hop, up and hop. If it gets someone in front of them, it hops over them. If there's two buddies behind it that it can't hop, it's landlocked. It can't do that. And then it's the other person to use social consensus on the end to hop over them when the time is right. They're putting a stopgap on this little hopper. But if the checker goes all the way to the end of the board, he gets a little hat where it's called kinged. And now he can come backwards. Now that's just changing the mechanics. What if I change the board or the systemic design? That would be called backgammon. And a checker only knows he can go forward till he gets to the end. And just like in the little hat that he can go backwards if he's kinged, in backgammon, he can go hard right and go hop, 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 hop. So true game theory is understanding systemic design by mechanics, systemic design divided by each other times social consensus, because your player should know the exact same mechanics and systemic design as you do for your own game. That's why they pulled a chair up and said, stay a while, listen. These people that are crypto bros don't understand absolutely jack and shit about building mechanics, systemic design, and how that rollable or circular loop ecosystem works. In the game dev community, we call it foxes and hares. And how foxes and hares work is that if you have too many foxes that eat all the hares, there's not enough food for the foxes to live, so all the foxes die out. That's why there's another circular loop of predators on top of foxes. You have to have multiple different circular loops that understand the systemic design that rolls into each other and that pulls that paradigm forward and then pushes it back. And so that is inherently, when people talk game theory or game design, what they're trying to articulate. But none of them that say that could probably ever win a game of checkers, chess, or backgammon. They are usurping words because they're buzzwords, just like blockchain technology, NFT, multiverse, wah, wah, wah. They don't have any idea what they're doing because they're recycling other people's knowledge, and they don't have the tactical ability to play and win in those ecosystems. We call them critics in my world. So whether you're dealing with a movie critic or a game critic, let's be clear. Anyone that's a critic couldn't actually do the job to get it done. It's like being in the peanut gallery without peanuts. And remember, the peanut gallery is in the back. There's a whole ecosystem and story about why a peanut gallery is just that. But they are the peanut gallery. And unfortunately, we have influencers, air quote, talking heads, bobbleheads, NBA jams, if you will, back in the day, that they didn't fucking understand what they're doing and couldn't do the job if you gave them to. But yet will speak about it like they have some kind of meaning. Altcoin Daily, fucking Box Mining, anyone, Peter Schiff, like all of them couldn't actually design shit. Otherwise, they would. What they are is a critic that may or may not buy or influence. Now, if they influence without fiscal payment, which is 90% of most hexagons, because hexagons get paid by an ecosystem of itself. It's its own circular loop, right? And so, like, that's really the definition. Well, thank you, Bobby. But, like, that's the definition on why you need to understand where you are going, and where you will succeed. And understanding that even if you don't understand the paradigms and the variables, that's perfectly okay. You take your car to a mechanic because you trust they're not going to shim-sham you and use car salesman on you for things. But like, unless you're Chris Side Effects actually going to repair a car, that's who I bring my car to because I know him personally. He's my saber rattle for mechanics if I'm around. But if I take my car to someone, I trust they'll fix the car. But that's just a bead in the entire ecosystem. It's when they try to tell you to sell your car to buy a new car. Do this for this benefit, that benefit, what you're tiering in, what you're tiering out. You have to look at the entire thing. And though you may not understand the entire loop correctly, what you have to do is understand enough of your own loop on what game you're playing and what the mechanics that you're dealing with at the exact moment in time that you're dealing with them. And that takes a lot of time. If you're new, it takes 6-8 months of pain, suffering, time, and utility. But what you put in is exactly what you get. The more time you put into this and really hop the rug on top of itself and actually look underneath the hood, you're going to get more market variable of data and knowledge. And what's the most expensive token in the world? It's knowledge. Nothing else. If you have knowledge, you win. Period.
There was a lot there.
Yeah, that's why I'm not allowed to come onto your stream, sir.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So check this out. Bobby Hexelrod, Pulse Chain Trainer, the chefs, Chef Carol and Hex Chef. I mean, who's the other? Francis down there in Houston. When I went to Houston, I was blown away by the love and the hardcore Hexicans there. And you guys are definitely part of what's pulling me back to Texas as soon as I can come back, for sure. And then when we went to ATX with Chris Side Effects and
love that guy,
SJ.
They're both my generals. Chris is my first general. SJ is my second general. Dude, they stepped the fuck up.
They were all like, we spent more time talking about you in Austin than we spent talking about like Hex and stuff. Huge, a lot of love from the drum and bass community there for you. Like these guys love you. Truly
I'm the warlord of drum and bass for many of years, but yeah, they're my family. But SJ and Chris stepped the fuck up. I went off on rants for 2 years trying to get other people in, and no one wanted to listen. But Chris is next to HexMac, the two admins on the Facebook chat. SJ fucking reads books for Richard. Like, what more could you want? Like, get the fucking on board, get your big boy and big girl panties up, and fucking go to work. It's what we've all said.
Right. No, it's a hell of a community, and I definitely am wanting to set physical Hexico in Texas to hopefully rival Gold Key's Hexico that he wants to build
in San Diego. Yeah.
I love San Diego. I just I don't know. It's in California.
If I move out of my paradise where I am now, I'll probably come back to ATX.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a army. I've had Larry Palooza 3 years in a row. So basically, it's my own festival, which is a 8 to 12 hour festival. But I've got good fam there. Yeah. But
Next Ray Chick also gave you a shout out. We need to hang out again. I miss you.
Anytime. Hit me up, love.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I was going over some of those. I don't know if you saw my awesome drawing of the whole ecosystem.
I popped in right at the end. That was when I was getting dry. Go ahead and roll through it again, man. If you want me to do some real game theory on it in real time, I'll do it.
I actually erased it so that I could do the take profit and DCA mountain range. But it's there, and basically I kind of wanted to know if I actually could draw it out and how things are connected. And there's just, like I said, there's just so much going on right now in the bear market. Like I said, I'm waiting for one more shoe to drop personally before I drop my powder back into the market, the bulk of it, whatever I don't need to live on, right? But at the same time, that's where I'm sitting. And then as I mentioned on stream the other night, I've got a token that I'm working with the team that I'm hoping to get a token launched before the next bull market. So I'll be talking to you about that in private.
Always come to tokenomics for me, because tokenomics is one small leg of mechanics, but it's a huge one. But real systemic design is more than just tokenomics.
Yeah. But I was just thinking, and like you were saying, there's so much drama in the community when the price is down. There's so many people calling people fake hexicans and vampires, and trying to claim that they know what your intentions are. And at the end of the day, I was talking to Hexray Chick about this. I said, you know what? Like, I can have the whole Hexcan community turn on me, and I'll keep onboarding as many people as I can every day into Hex, because I love the community and I love Hex, and I'm not going to stop doing what I'm going to do just because someone's opinion of me changes.
Well, I mean, like, I'll double down on that. That's why I don't have a stream. I mean, eventually I may, due to things I cannot say, but all will be revealed when the Wizard in the Glass is available. But I already did the talking head thing in 2017, while also applying $250,000 education on virality, entertainment, proper video editing, not silly thumbnails that don't have necks, like all that shit. And I prefer one thing, is to talk to my personal people in the background on the phone. That is how I've always handled it. That's how we've always done everything. And that's how all of my family does everything. Because I don't need to be a talking head. I do this talking head thing already for $1 billion IPs. That is my day job. I don't need to do that on another platform of another thing of my day job. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted. When it comes to like my professional career, any of my family can access any of it at any time. Software, feedback. That's why I run Cool-Aid University, but it's all back-end things. Yeah. You can't join unless you don't know me, or I don't have a tip of the hat to be like, you're doing some good shit. Why don't you come here? And it's not like I advertise it, but it does exist. Same thing with you. And so anyone can turn on you on the drop of the hat when you fuck up, but the people that know who you are will not drop you. And that's inherently the real difference, is because if the rabid dingoes that ate your baby are crossing you right now, it doesn't fucking matter, because dingoes and hares, eventually they'll eat the things that they need to survive, and then they get shut out because they don't have any food for thought left. They're done. Yeah, and you can see that, and you can see that in a couple tokens that are tanking right now. I don't need to give them credence, and I also tried to help those tokens. But regardless of the fact, you have to look into proper systemic design on how these work. We've been building on this system for 20, 30 plus years in the gaming industry, or tabletop. Go tabletop, you can go further. If you want to go even further, it's basically the hero's journey, which is a hero of 1,000 faces. We've been building on this ecosystem forever. People just want to take the shortcut to get it out there, to think that they were Coolio, riding a fantastic voyage. And RIP to Coolio.
RIP to Coolio, man. Nate Stakes says howdy. I voted for Nate Stakes as the new streamer of the year.
I haven't even seen any of his stuff. Nate Stakes, drop in your link, or tweet it to me or some nonsense.
Nate Stakes on YouTube. I can probably pull up his thing here.
Yeah.
Let me see if anyone's not got a wrench in here. It definitely needs a wrench.
Oh God, there you go. You would not be crypto with your multi-wrench committee.
There you go. You got a wrench right now, Kool-Aid.
I mean, I'm never going to use it. I'm just going to talk shit in real time. Fuck the wrench.
Yeah. And then Orez Evetigen. I mean, it might be something backwards in there. -0. It's -0 backwards. That's what it is. That's a clever handle.
-0 backwards?
Yeah.
It reminds me of shit. Where was the hacker one? Zero Cool.
Zero Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me pull him up here. I'll put his link in there because I'm sure I can. 8 stakes.
Yeah, and a shout out to Vortex Hex again. He got on the stream with Freddie and SJ, and I modeled out in real time how to turn his tattoos into a tangible, actual e-Nft that can be turned into augmented reality, that can be turned into something that's wrapped in a Tshr. And we can do these things, man. It's just you need to actually apply proper systemic design. Let me follow this guy and then get
shout
on.
out to Nate Stakes. If you guys haven't voted in KSB TV's poll, they're going to be doing an award show on the cruise. Make sure you hit me up as the sexiest Hexcan male in the community. It doesn't have to be true. It's really for me. It's really to make me feel better.
Not only you, it's a Hexray chick. Be like, I got that man.
Hit up Hexray chick as the sexiest.
Hexray chick is a gem. She is the sweetest of badasses. I love that woman so goddamn much. She came to the burn to hoss out, and it was delicious.
Yes. Completion fails is in the house. Hex 647 in the house. Nate Stakes, you guys need to back up the stream a few minutes and catch Kool-Aid's rant. Epic.
I didn't even rant yet. I can rant.
And then this is the link to Nate Stakes' channel. Get there and get him over 1,000 so we can start streaming live. And actually, let me see what he's at. What is he at right now?
Yeah, 326. I just subbed.
Yep. So get that kid over 1,000.
376.
He needs to live stream, and he needs to be able to get.
Hold on. Let me tweet it out. Tweet it out. Nobody listens to me anyways. So I'm the cameo guy. Mm-hmm. If you can find me, you're good. But I don't pretend that you can't subscribe, find me. Only the people that have my cell phone number can. Mexicans sub to Nate Stakes at. There you go, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweet that out right now too. Boom.
But I don't know, but like it's kind of like after you've been building nonsensy things for fucking a decade, I really don't care what people find for me. What matters is that we all make a fist and punch up, not get fractured and punch each other, or not get fractured and punch down, which we can see with old Sam from FTX and all the rest of that shit. Just because you made $1 billion quick doesn't mean you know what you're doing. Same thing of why the old Zuckers lost $12 billion or anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to bring up, I had you on here.
Let's see if we can poke Nate and get him on. Come on, Nate. You poke the Kool-Aid. I'm going to do this shit in real time. Come on, Nate.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I went straight from Burning Man to Las Vegas.
Yeah, you didn't have as far as to go. I had to relocate to LA, turn and burn, and then fly back. You delicious motherfucker.
Yeah.
That was not. It was Nar. Oh, Nate's coming on. Does he have a link?
There's one in the chat, and then.
Here we go. All right. See, summon the devil, you shall appear.
I'll send him.
I like it.
I'll send him one here in a DM Twitter.
But no, to see you at the burn, to have you in my camp was like a gem. And like you saw Cosmic as his the Hex superhero outfit. He doesn't fucking play, but he is such a gem of a human being. And it's the same with you and everyone else that was hanging with you, man. It was just like the best of people and the best of times. It's worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. If we can establish a physical Hexaco and really build an in-person community, or at least even if you don't want to live in Hexaco, you can come visit Hexaco. And, that magic that appears when Hexicans get together, I think that'd make an amazing intentional community.
Well, it's the same thing as coming to the burn, right? Whether you go to Jupiter Playa, the Burning Man, the Rogue Burn, it's you commute in because you want to meet the people, and the people are the most important power of the power.
Yeah, it all goes down to community, and like I said, I'm not going to stop building community for Hex, and I hope to build a brand new community for my specific token, just because, like I said, that's where the magic happens. Magic happens with the community. It doesn't happen just algorithm by itself is just a set of numbers written somewhere, right?
Sure. So,
yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see Nate Stakes here in a second. But yeah, I just wanted to reach out. I had a hell of a lineup, and everyone has a life that I invited here today. And so I'm happy that they're living life, but at the same time, I was like, it was me and the whiteboard. And, I hopefully that wasn't too excruciating for y'all. But
you did a good job, sir. I approve of your message, and I got out of the hot tub to come in.
Oh, awesome. That in and of itself is an honor, for sure. Now, I am hoping to come down to the birthday party.
Are you really?
And San Diego, December 2nd.
Are you flying into SD, or are you going to fly into LA? Because Patrick's going to be staying with me for a bit. You should come stay with me if you need.
I'm not sure if I'm driving or flying yet, because the following weekend, December 10th, Casey, the Hexican, and I are going to be at Dead Mouse and Cascade in LA.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah, but that's in LA, so you should come stay with me anyways.
Yeah, so he wants one on Telegram. Let me pull him up on Telegram here. Boom, there you go. Boom, boom. Paste.
How did you fail us? The link is in the chat, Nate Stakes.
Well, it is in the chat, but it's maybe it's back there, and then also
I know.
I said it on Twitter, and he just barely joined Twitter.
I'm giving saucy people shit because that's what I do.
Love it. So let me ask you this: me and Sloth were talking about the brain of Richard Hart. How Richard Hart is in a strange predicament right now because of the launch of ETH 2.0. They launched something.
Nope. Finish your thought, but I will completely. Finish your thought, sir. But no. Anyone that doesn't understand what's going on, I'm sorry, but I'm going to call you a child. You have literally no idea. Mm-hmm. If you just took driver's ed, you do not get to talk to a truck driver trainer or a yacht captain or a pilot of a 747 and think because you just moved a vehicle by your own footsie with a footsie and a power and a wheel and a brake that you think you know what's going on.
So this is what I think is going on inside the brain of Richard Hart. Richard Hart, they changed what they were going to do based on ETH 2.0 coming out, saying, hey, if we want to get all the new shards and stuff coming down the line in the future, we need to base ours off of ETH 2.0, not off of the fork they were building on.
It's called branching, sir. So in the game dev industry, Unreal has different types of things. So I could be in Unreal 4, I could be in Unreal 5. I can be in different versions of Unreal 4 and Unreal 5, and I can be using different plugins that work off of different branches of Unreal 4 or Unreal 5. Now, if I decided to upgrade, let's say I was working on Unreal 4 for a majority of my game, and I upgrade to Unreal 5, all of the plugins and shit that I had broke, but then I have the ability to branch off of Nanite, off of Lumen, all this sexy shit that can happen afterwards. It's now, instead of taking a BSC, which was a naked fork off of old Ethereum, we've taken Unreal 5 instead of Unreal 4 and branched off of that, which means that we can take the plugs and stuff off of it. If we went with the BSC version, we'd be sitting at Unreal 4. We could never use Nanite, Lumen, all the sexy shit that we could get, which means that as they get closer to sharding, which is ludicrous, surge, dirge, merge, burge, all the rest of that, we can still take a feather of that hat. Now, the farther that we verge in our branching, the harder it is to bring it in, but we're still on the same tier of that paradigm. It's ludicrous that people don't understand it, but they've never built this shit before, nor have they done anything besides, I press buy, I buy token, hey you guys, booth, baby, booth, I have a pendant. You know, what they did is, because at the end of the day, Richard and all of us OGs, who knew when they were going to get ETH 2.0 to merge? Granted, the virality of Pulse Chain and then possibly kicking in the dick faster pushed them to pull the trigger. Just like now, people are telling Richard to pull the trigger, the same thing that the other virality caused it to make. But because we are moving the consensus over to the new level or the floor, means that we can cherry pick as things go out. All the people that are waiting for it have never built a goddamn thing of complexity in their life that also has rolling paradigms. It's a good thing. It's very, 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 very good.
Okay. So now Richard Hart has to choose what upgrades he wants to make to ETH 2.0 to
pull from.
Well, and Richard Hart always wants to make things his own, right? He wants to put his own stamp, his own style on them.
Yes. So let's just say, for example, the ETH validators. So the ETH validators, for example, need 32 ETH to be able to do that. The direct fork over would be 32 pulse. That's ludicrous. So you could have a 32 ETH. The ETH weight validators be the exact same weight ETH weight pulse number, because what you don't want is enough validators that could make a conclave to vampire attack it. That is why if you look at the Bitcoin to hash rate, you have ant mining and all the other things that go down, and then a swath on the pie graph of all the tiny plebs that can do it ish on their own, but they're normally nested into giant eggs that do it. So what he is doing is taking the things that he earned or that he learned, and then he's upgrading, and then he's what we call branching it in. So he's taking the things and they put it on, test not such a primitive word, but a main branch, a sub branch, and a forked branch on how you test as you slot these things, almost like a game of Jenga in reverse. You're removing the crispy, by the way, like fucking, if that's the guy that does hexfire.io, tip of the hat to you, sir. But like you're branching a game of Jenga where you're harvesting the things, and then you're branching another game of Jenga where you're placing it into the things in tandem.
Right. So
hey.
I was laughing because I kept sending Nate Stakes a link to his own YouTube instead of a link to the StreamYard. So I was like, I just kept sending him he's like, this is a link to my own YouTube channel. I'm like,
X-Ray. This is why I've got a whip. This is why I've got a whip. Anyway, I'm gonna go smoke. I'll be right back, gents. Well, Nate's got to come back first.
We'll be here. And then I sent one. All
right. Nice hat there, Houston. Nice hat there, Houston.
I put the link back in here for
all right, I'll be right back.
Join and talk. Man, how are you doing, Nate?
How are you doing?
so Crypto Kool-Aid is loud as hell. You are quiet as hell.
I am not loud. You have not heard me in real life. I am more loud in real life than I can crack the Kraken.
You're supposed to be smoking a cigarette, okay? Listen, Nate, go ahead and turn your gain up on your mic. Try to make it even here.
All right, did that.
Or you can just get closer to it.
All right,
you can
does
just
that help?
You can just get right on that microphone.
Am I still quiet?
No, you're better now. You're closer to me, I think.
All right,
I don't know. It tells us in the chat if it's close or not. Crispy, you got the. I threw that link in there. If Crispy wants to join and chat with us.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, it kept linking me back to my YouTube channel.
Well, like I said, we need to get you over 1,000. Like stat,
Yeah.
We need to get you to where you can live stream and do crazy stuff.
It's been growing though, nice, slowly but surely. It's been really a blessing, and it's been really cool, man. It's been authentic, and really lucky to be here for sure. Really excited to see everything that's happening in the bear market, and what a time to be alive for sure.
Well, every day something new comes out. Like for instance, Poly's coming out, right?
Yeah.
So when Poly comes out, we get to talk about Poly, and then we get to talk about how Poly is going to affect the other like 8 pieces of the ecosystem, right? And then there's another thing comes out. So like there's no lack of content, there's no lack of ideas,
Right.
There's no lack of game theory and slicing and dicing. And then again, there's so much education that needs to be done out there to the public, because if someone wants to learn about crypto right now, they're going to run into someone with a referral link to an exchange to get them wrecked.
Yeah, and
they're going to tell them just enough to start gambling on an exchange and use leverage. And they're not going to tell them, hey, you could actually get ready for the next wave in crypto. You can actually start earning yield without trusting other people. You can actually, here's how you keep your stuff safe. Here's how you set it up. Here's the coins, and this is how they work. And this is what makes them different from all the other coins. There's it's insane how many people out there need that knowledge and that information.
Yeah, this is pretty much the most important time in history. This is how many cycles already in crypto, and now we're facing the regulation side, which is getting scary. I've heard you guys mention Sam Bankman-Fried and stuff, and it's pretty noble to see people actually like BitBoy and stuff. People actually standing up. You can have differences on like what he shills or whatnot, but I thought that was really powerful to try to at least stand up for the DeFi space. And this isn't going to happen without a fight, that's for sure. There's too many people that are they're awakening. I think more and more people are realizing kind of what's happening and stuff in the world, and they want to maintain their own, independence and control of their life. It's as simple as that. So it's chilly. Now imagine when we have charts and we can talk about charts and pulse chains launch. There'll be even more to talk about. So
well, the truth is, who do you want in charge of your spreadsheet? Who do you want to be in charge of your Excel spreadsheet? That's the question. Do you trust the government? Like, we've seen what the government and the Federal Reserve and the IMF, we've seen what they've done with their spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
They've literally hooked up their homies and screwed everyone else. And that's all they're going to do. So when I see them go on TV with a straight face and talk about the lovely things of the CBDC with a straight face, I'm like, you're talking about literally stealing from people. You're like, if we could just carjack these people. It's like, no, dude, you're talking about theft. And the truth is, we don't have to rely on governments and banks to take care of our spreadsheets anymore. And as soon as people realize that, and we can help them, and the technology is easy to use like email, we could live in a completely different world.
I thought that was what's the guy's name that interviewed him on live the other day? I thought that was a great reference. He compared what's the difference between
email.
Yeah, and I think
that was Eric Voorhees, the OG from back in the day. He made Shapeshift, which everyone used to mix your coins anonymously on chain. You just go on there and switch from one chain to another, and then they bought his company and forced him to KYC.
Okay.
And so that's kind of left a bitter taste in his mouth. So he's kind of been on a mission lately.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
He's an anarchist from back in the day.
I see.
He's a voluntarist, I guess. Voluntarist makes more sense to most people than anarchist. Anarchists kind of got hijacked and with some negative connotations. Everyone has a bowling ball bomb with a little like fuse out of it going like handed behind their back. That's what all terrorists and anarchists are, right?
Pure
but no,
chaos.
anarchist just means, hey, I can make my own decisions.
And that's what fundamentally, like, it's really all coming down to, right? We should be able to make these decisions with our finances. And it's really cool to see the system. Like you were saying earlier too, with Poly coming out, it's just crazy how many things are like, compared to like what OG Hexicans, what you guys had, you just had Hex, right? And so building your ladder was a little bit more simpler and straightforward. And now you have the Perpetuals and Poly and Hedron and all this other stuff feeding back into it. And it's pretty exciting. I just feel the momentum of this. Like, this is all going to come full circle next bull cycle. And if you weren't paying attention, it's all going to smack people just by like taking over crypto. Pulse Chain really could take crypto over done right. It's a blessing and a curse to see the things happen, to the other chains. And, like you said, Rich is going to learn from that, I think. And the bragging rights from having this done correctly is undeniable. It's going to rattle everything in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Is this Crispy?
Hey,
Crispy,
what's
do you
up,
hear
guys?
us?
Looking cool.
How are you doing, buddy?
Good. All I do is wear this hat.
Far out.
I sit with this background.
Have I had a chance to meet you in person at one of the meetups? Were you in Vegas or one of the other meetups?
I went to the first one. I don't know. I may have, if you were there, maybe I saw you there. I don't know. That's where the hat comes from, right?
Yeah. So that hat was gifted by Casey.
Yeah.
Casey, and that's the one that I'm going to go see Dead Mouse and Cascade with in December.
Hey,
oh, nice.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. Grand Theft Auto stealing from people. Now, I'm going to add Crypto back to the screen when he comes back. I just took him off because I know he can hear us and talk, but I'll bring him back when he's ready to go back on screen. So anyways, so you said people are here in the chat, including Red Squirrel, I believe, was talking about Fire. Let me find it. Let me go back here.
Yeah, Hex Fire is sick, dude. Hats off to you. I use it every day.
Fire
Good to hear.
is amazing. I actually have not heard about Hex Fire.
Oh, dude.
Because I sleep a lot. I try really hard to keep up on Sloth streams, on Nate streams, anything that David Feeder puts out, Crypto Cabana. I mean, it's
hard, man. I mean, how do you follow everybody?
It's a lot, man.
So tell us about like, I'm brand new, so talk to me like I'm brand new about Hex Fire, and what made you think about what was going through your head when you were thinking about developing Hex Fire, and how do you want it to come out onto the scene and function?
Sure. So let me ask you, how new are you?
I've been around for a while, about 7 years in crypto.
Well, that's not new. but how new to Hex?
I was around Hex during the 2 years of development.
Okay, so you're not new. All right, but you knew just the idea of Hex Fire. All right,
yes,
so
that's right.
Man, simply put, you have this contract out there, right? We know it has a truth engine in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the question is, how do you check to see if the truth engine's working the way you expect it to work? And we all believe, right? But then I want to find more data. So I just ended up with spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet that I needed to copy paste into. And here I'm a guy that's worked in technology for 30 years. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? And without any more digression into it, right? So I just started putting stuff up that I thought that I liked,
Mm-hmm.
And probably the pivotal moment was back when we had that first 700 change in Tshr rate this year. And I had just unstaked, and I was waiting to stake. I was waiting to decide what I was going to do. And then the goddamn price went up 700x overnight. And I was like, I should have known, right? I mean, it's not like this isn't coming, it's math. So that's how I started doing it.
Oh, hey, you know what? I have I was messing around on Hex Fire on my phone about a month ago. I was just pulling it up right now.
Yeah, on the phone it's terrible because I'm using. And this is what I appreciate what Kool-Aid had to say. I don't like the UI very much either.
I tell you what, don't let me interrupt. My hubris of being the $1 billion game theory, all the rest of that, I didn't dig in. And then when I was watching RH Max on how much data derivatives you pull, I literally almost fell out of my car. I was driving. I'm like, Jesus, this is fucking delish. And what you have to understand is the cart, the horse, and don't judge a book. He has so much data-driven stuff buried that if you lay that out like ley lines on top of each other, you can get exactly what you're looking for the meaning. And Hex Fire is like the old, what was it, Dex.vision, Hex.vision.io way back in the day.
Hex Live. Hex Live.
Yeah. And so like you can only do so much with it. And if you accidentally grabbed it and scaled wrong, the UI freaked the fuck out. And again, having access to this data-driven stuff makes models. You can take those models into different other software and then run those models on top of each other. But the amount of depth that Crispy built here, I didn't realize it till I watched that stream and watched how deep the rabbit hole goes. And this gentleman here is just like, I can make anything that you want. What do you want to see? And then lay that on top of each other. Because I understand that from my industry is that it's a lot of things that you can lay, but people don't understand. But there's a lot of meat here.
Which stream are you referring to?
It was RH Max, I believe.
RH Max's stream?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we did one. I pushed him to his limit, man. We got to about an hour and a half on that one.
Oh, no, it's the tip of the hat, sir, because like the amount of data that you have here, and I love, again, systemic design, closable loops. I'll take multiple different closable loops and bind them on other closable loops, and I just need to see the correlation on how it binds to each other, and your website does all of it. And you even ask for what's more help. You know what I mean? There's another guy, apparently Dewey, that's doing Hex Model. And the more people that we have building this decentralized access to knowledge that multiple people within the community give to grep to each other. I'm sure you wouldn't mind offering your data to someone else, and someone else takes your data and pipes it into itself. Because then we become the most educated community that has all the tools that bind on tools. Racks on racks on racks.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't take any offense to your comment. I made a design decision. So I've got a website, right? And it's been probably 20 years since I built a website myself. And I started going down that rabbit hole of WordPress and all this other junk. And I was like, man, I now I'm spending all this time trying to figure out how I'm going to make a website work.
Right.
So the design decision here is with this particular software, it's a Microsoft software. If I can get the data to it, I can load up pages and pages of data. And yes, it doesn't come exactly the way I want it to. I'm gonna actually work on the website one of these days and build it out different. So all of this you're seeing is being driven within this one piece of software. So the pros and cons of whatever that is, it's weird in certain ways, but in other ways it's really fast, right? That I can get things up, and the fact that I can get it up and it's maintained automatically. I don't have to come push a button every day. It just does it every 4 hours and updates. Is where it's at, and of course I built it basically crypto like you're talking about. I built it on the shoulders of other people, man. Hex Daily Stats is the main.
I just
provider.
put in that link to your interview with RH Max if you guys want to check out that one.
No, again, like Crispy, it was my hubris that I didn't put the time in to dig in. My folly, my fault. The data that you have here is tippity top. And literally, it was my hubris just to look at the UI and not understand how deep the rabbit hole goes, which is exactly what I coach people to do. So I will say it's my bad. This data is tippity top, sir, and tip of the hat to you.
Are there any of these pages you'd like me to go through to show some people some of the stuff they might want to check out on Hex Fire?
Well, yeah, I could do that. But I'll say this to you guys though first. This is our data. It's not my data. Right. So other than when I make certain decisions, like I'm using the 180-day moving average, I made that decision, and maybe the Hopper multiple, which is something we use to kind of predict what the Tshr rates will be in the future. Is a guy off of Twitter that I connected up with. This is the data. This is, to the best of my ability, exactly what the contract does, and that's what it's showing.
Yep.
You know,
Wow.
so there's some fringe stuff, but it's our data. You know what I mean? So it's not stuff that I made up. This
But
page
in that same ecosystem, it's just like we are Hex, we are the Tshr. It's not Richard Hart, it's our data, and that's exactly what you're gleaning is our data, our decision. Same thing at Silver, a very, very good friend of mine, but he spends $1,000 a month on Nansen to be able to do chain analysis. Wow. You can plug the Nansen chain analysis into your respective data plays, and then from there, now you're cooking with gas with pure data.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow!
Look at that! Look at those charts! Look at that.
No, but go into like have them show you like how you can drill into not just the Tshr rate, but how the Tshr rate ratchets up per everyone's automated on stake. It's beautiful.
Yeah, teach me, Crispy, like I'm new.
Is that
brand
the
new.
estimated share rate changes right here?
Yeah, you can go to that one. That's a new one that was added by request.
Okay, cool.
And so what I'm doing is I'm using the calc in the contract. I'm looking at every stake, right? So take a step back as if you're brand new. The contract, every time a stake ends, runs a function called new share rate. And that new share rate function calculates to ensure that you as a staker, even if you staked all of your yield and all of your principal for the same number of days, you can't get more Tshrs. You cannot get more Tshrs. And so a lot of us in the beginning kind of misinterpreted that as being, oh, you know, whoever gets the highest ROI changes the Tshr rate, but that's not true. That's not, but it's easy to understand. It's a great point. It's how you get people in and you're able to talk about it easily. So what this is showing is the estimated increases that'll happen on each day. And we use this one in combination with the Tshr rate curve, with the model that shows where it's going to go up, because what you can do is, depending on your staking strategy, is know that something's going to be happening very soon. You know, meaning, i.e., the rate's going to go way up. So stake right before it. Don't stake after. I mean, now everybody has their own situation, but if you're waiting to stake, you can look at that and get in before one of the big changes. And then if you're doing short to mid-term staking, you can also look to see where the big increases are going to be. And let's say you just chose, it happened to be the day after we're expecting some huge change. Well, don't end that day, end 2 days before if you plan to restake, because this way you'll catch the wave of a lower share rate. And you know, stakers that are staking short lose probably about 10% of their yield power per year, right? Oh, wow. And so what does that mean? That the amount of Tsrs that you can get continuously goes down, and it goes down somewhere, you know, around 10-12%. And that changes, of course. It's all variable. So we use this one, but if you go over to charts, go back to charts, you can click on that.
Yeah. And then we also have a question here on screen from Cryptographics. We invited him in. How did you get the data to have the Tshr stopping accelerating around 130,000 hex per Tshr?
Oh yeah, let's go to this chart and I'll show you.
Okay.
I actually
I
didn't stop it. There's one in the middle top that's share rate.
The estimated share rate?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And I think what they're referring to is that my model at the far right, depending on what the days are. You have to make your screen bigger.
Around 120, 140 here.
Yeah. And so
I can make it bigger for you guys.
No, I got it on mine. It looks fine now. I just had you in the small StreamYard.
Oh, okay.
Screen. Yeah. So there's a bunch of models here. One that I call the base. Yeah, terminologies, my terminology. One is the base is I'm just calculating, right? I'm putting it through the calc and picking what the highest one will be for each day and then laying it out on the chart. But go to all models.
Okay. You go back here to all models,
Yeah,
right?
all the way
Here at
all the way to
this
the right.
top
Yeah,
right,
that one there. Yeah.
all models.
And so you can see we have a bunch. We got 3 different models here, and you see a range between 130-ish to 272.
Yeah.
And that's 15 years. So I stopped about 2 years before where we need to be, because we're really choppy at the end, meaning there aren't a lot of stakes yet, and I need to make some changes to my model to smooth the line. And the reason I say it that way is there are not a lot of stakes after that point that actually increase the rate. And this would be more of a technical detail if I get into it, but just imagine all stakes end every day run this calculation, but all stakes don't increase the rate. Only
just the ones that got the highest return.
Yeah, only the ones that get that actually in their situation result in a higher number. So I know that it'll always go up, but I don't know what it'll be yet. And how I solved that initially was to go back 180 days as well and smooth the line, to say, okay, if I had a previous number, it would that would be the new rate. But anyways, way too technical. But I'm not actually stopping it. It's just that I don't have any data that shows me that it's going to be higher yet.
So the blue smooth line is based on 180-day average.
No. They actually we go look at the base model again. The base model was actually that one, and that's the one that's towards the bottom.
Oh, okay. So the purple one's based on 180-day average.
Yeah, and that may change over time. I did that because we had all these huge payouts that happened recently in the last couple months, and it screws up the line, right? If you're trying to use that method. Now, the one you just asked about, which was the blue line, is the Hopper multiple, and the Hopper multiple is, and you see underneath where it says new Tshr rate up at the top, the legend. You can actually click on them; they'll highlight out for you.
Oh, right here. So I can click on.
Yeah.
Hopper.
Hey, I just learned something new.
There we go.
Yeah. And so
make it stand out.
So this dude Hopper's a mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and he also works within the tech consulting type of area. What he did is he applied mathematics to what the Tshr rate has done and calculated an expected curve. So this is the curve that he believes that will follow. And I know that the curve that I have, even though it's not really a curve, it's kind of a jagged series of steps, it is going to snap up towards that. It may come up to it or even pass it. We don't know, right? Because we don't know what the payouts are going to be in the future. But it's likely that the actual share rate in the future will be somewhere between these two. Mm-hmm. But I'm very comfortable that we'll hit it. If things proceeded the way they have been, we'll hit 128 at a very minimum, and it may even be double by that time. It's pretty scary. I almost didn't want to put this chart up when I got it, because I was like, man, I don't know how I can defend this. I mean, people go nuts when they look at it, because you're talking about, and that was my initial response, but because you're talking about the share rate going up 10x. But then if you think about that, it's like, well, over 15 years, that's not so bad, right?
But you also have the one paradigm is the big payday stakes that come out, which ratchetly move up the share rate. It's almost like HSIs that have 10x bonuses them that you recycle for Icosa. So as you shove that back into Icosa, you're taking that 10x Hedron multiplier HSI stake and throwing it back out 90 days for it to be recycled and bidded on in the future of that next gladiator blood and sand event. And as that keeps happening, when people hold those for assets under management versus minting them back for HSIs, which then puts it 90 days back out, you're using that paradigm against itself. However, the big payday unstakes, when those big guys come in, just like unstaking or emergency unstaking a big payday stake, that is a bad idea. It also ratchets the Tshr rate up, because that was the first paradigm that pushed us up from 1,300 hex or 13,000 hex to 20,000 hex to the Tshr, and it'll never come down from there. So as those big boys come out, it releases that gas that pushes that envelope even further up. And that's actually the chop, which is actually better to see inherently, Crispy.
Yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you. So if we switch over to base model without OA, you'll be able to see this, and we'll bring the time frame down. Go to the one right to the right, base model without OA. And let's bring the time frame. You know, you can use the slider just to slide to some reasonable time frame. You'll see definition change on the screen.
And what would you say, down to like 20?
Yeah, bring it 23 is good. You go
20,
down
30.
20. You'll go down further. 23 is good because it will see the definition.
23.
Yeah, 3 years.
Okay, let's go here. 23.
Yeah, something like that's perfect, right?
Okay.
All right, and then you can bring the other side up a little bit, and we'll just show this a little bit more detailed to guys. Now you can type the dates in too if you want, a little bit further for us.
Okay, so that's got July to January.
Yeah, so you see,
July 21.
July last year. Yeah, so the red line is the actual share rate increases that took place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but notice how none of them are flat, right? We usually have 2-3 flat days, but the angle of the curve is up, right? But when you get over to the right-hand side here towards the top at end of 23, you see that flat line that's there, or January 23?
Oh, the light blue and the purple?
Yeah, between those two. The blue, or they should say the purple. The purple is if the OA has some stakes that come out around Thanksgiving this year. If the OA actually ended those stakes, we'd probably go up 1,000. Maybe close to 1,000.
That big jump right there. Yeah, next curb.
Yeah, maybe it's 800. I don't remember the exact number. I guess it looks more like 800. But the OA hasn't been ending stakes, so we're probably going to follow the lower line.
All right.
All right.
Well, remember that what most people don't understand, the OA has 2 functions. If somebody forks Hex, it can fuck them. Just like when it pulled single-sided liquidity for Hex to Hedron to allow it to bind instead of doing USDC to dump Hex to get to Hedron, but it also has the other way of being a sheriff on top of it. It can bleed out, and when it bleeds out, it gives us bonuses. It's just like your Christmas bonus. It allows the drip to go to the people, as Bane would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So put in like yesterday's date in the calendar, and run it through March of 23, and then we'll be able to illustrate exactly what Kool-Aid was just talking about.
Okay. So I was just tweeting how deep we're going into this right now on Twitter. So people.
So top right bar, let's go to March. So 3/18/2023, good sir. You can just type it in though.
Yeah, you can just type it in there if you want.
3/18.
Yeah, again, Crispy, like I my hubris superseded me. The site has so much bloody depth to it, which is what I look for. That it's the bee's knees. Tip of the hat to you, sir, to be able to drill into all of this data.
All right, man. Okay, thanks. It's fun stuff, I'll tell you. And then bring the start date to just make it like 10/1/22.
Okay. So
you can use this chart in conjunction with the other one. Now, my preference obviously is this, right? This is why I built it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like this. But somebody came to me and said, "Hey, man, I it would be a lot easier for me to tell what days I needed to make changes, or I needed to stake if you gave me this, this kind of like column chart." So we did that. That's how it's set up. So what you're seeing here on a shorter time frame is you're seeing the red, which is the actual. What's actually happened. You're seeing the purple, which is if the OA ends these stakes. This is what it would be. This is what it'll be.
Oh, there's another stair step right there.
Yeah, there's a big step coming up in November, but I don't think we're going to do anything with it. I don't think anything will happen because I don't think that the OA will actually end those stakes. But hey, the OA could surprise us and do it. But if you follow this, you see how it's all jagged and it's on an angle through the end of the year. Then all of a sudden we go up a step and it's flat.
Yeah.
Well, those are the short stakers.
Mm-hmm.
The short stakers came in after the last big increase, and I say short, but they went out to 90 days to the end of the year, and they're building on this last change. And so originally, right now, we'd be in a flat spot, but we're not any longer because new stakers came in. And I don't think many people understand this, but about 80% of our stakes on a regular basis are short stakes. They're about 80% of them. So some of these stakes are recycling 4 or 5 times a month. Depends on how many days they're going in for. And so what you would expect to happen is we'll get to the end of December. Let's say the OA does not end, and you get towards the end of December, beginning of January. Normal stakers will push us up to that next level, around 25,500. And then all the short stakers will come in, and they'll create an angle that's going to go up. And so what will happen is that step will disappear. And the same thing will happen after that. And then the big thing that I'm expecting, and this is quite a few months out now, well, 4 months, 5 months, is that in February, I think it's right around Valentine's Day, we are going to see this big jump if the person who owns that stake actually ends it. And so we'll worry about that. And that's not an OA stake. So I think we can expect probably a 800 or 900 increase then.
Holy smackaronis. We got cryptographics in the house. We got Heartbeat. I forgot to give Heartbeat a shout out in the chat.
Dude, get Heartbeat in here too. Good fucking people.
We gotta be on our best behavior if we bring in Heartbeat.
Oh, I'm gonna curse like a sailor and pretend that I'm a short ginger.
Crispy, I have a question for you about the Tshr rate.
Sure.
So hypothetically, we're Pulse chain, right, when it launches, when it's ready. How do you see the share rate then? Because they're going to be different, right? Because if they're lower fees, higher throughput, do you see a reason why the share rate would probably jump quicker with people staking shorter there because they can get in and out, cheaper gas fees? You see what I'm saying? And then people would stick to ETH as potentially like maybe longer ones. I'm trying to see. I mean, obviously we don't know. We're just speculating, but it just interests me to see.
Yeah, I think you're going to see them diverge, but I think you're going to see that over a longer time frame.
I see.
It's not going to be. I think it'll start diverging immediately, but I don't think that they'll diverge significantly. And the reason for that is we are the same stakers that make this chart, and we're going over to Pulse chain, and so we make that chart. And since it's based on staking behavior, what will happen is if the staking behavior changes significantly enough, the numbers will change. But I don't think they can go any higher. And we'll have to wait and see. It depends on payouts and stuff. But I think range-wise, we're pretty close, similar range. Right?
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Similarly, it would have to take a dynamic, different group of people who are actually like day trading or whatever in a form of like staking. I feel like to really ratchet this up, it'd be weird. It's interesting.
Yeah, and we have all sorts of theories, right? Over this thing that we go to Pulse chain and it's going to be cheaper to stake, so people are going to do a lot more short stakes. Yeah. But you also have Hedron there, and there's an incentive to be on Cuatro Cincos. And if it's cheaper, then why am I worried about staking longer anyways, right? So it's really going to come down to we don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
It's beautiful. How much do the perpetuals and all that affect the share rate too? Have you done that yet?
Well, of course, they won't affect until they actually end. And I do have the calc on that. I can actually go look and see what I think they'll change to. But I'm going to guess it's probably not going to be as significant as you might think because they're so big. That you would think it would be a big deal. But remember, it's just based on them taking all of their yield and all of their principal and restaking it again for the same number of days.
True.
And so that's how they get calculated. And I can tell you exactly what it is.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
because they're just going to end up putting it over and just keep it rolling.
Yeah, and in fact, if you go, what are we doing here now? I'll show you a little trick. Go to the home page. You just hit home on that menu.
Okay.
And there's an alpha key up on the right of the screen. Click the alpha.
Okay.
So
this looks like it could swallow you whole.
Yeah, give this a couple seconds. But
Okay.
on the top right, we have owner. And go ahead and pick the Maxi contract. It's on the list. I just have to scroll down to it.
Okay, Maxi.
Got it. And then if we look to the right there, you can see the calculated new share rate for that is 129. I think it is. If you go all the way to the bottom to the data chart.
Oh, down here. If I scroll this over here.
Yeah, it's right on the screen. It says NSR.
Yeah, should I just do this with it?
Yeah, it might be a little bit. It might be a little bit more readable on screen here. If you go, there's a button there to show table. Yeah, there you go. That'll work.
There we go.
Yeah.
Scoot over here, and you said scroll this to the right.
Yeah. So I got pretty bullish with this. I went and bought more Maxi after I did this and added the contracts because I was like, man, we could be anywhere from. So you see the range. I'm not even looking at what we were supposed to look at, but I was looking at the estimated payouts versus the hopper payout. And remember, I mentioned that I have those two different curves. So somewhere between 2 billion and 4 billion would be the payout.
So that's on 2 chains.
Yeah. Yeah. So I bought more Maxi based on that. Because I'm always like, I didn't get in when I wanted to get in. I didn't get the best price or whatever. But I determined that whatever the premium is right now is fine. But what we came for was the NSR.
And now Harmonic Hexagon says, will you combine both chains or have separate charts for each chain?
Oh well, they'll have to be separate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some cross things we could do, but we have to wait until we actually get there and can get the data. There's still a lot with Pulse Chain, and I'm not a dev, so getting data is kind of hard if you're not a Web3 developer, right? But I guess to answer your question, 129,447 and up would be kind of what it is, and that may be the one that pushes it up. Then we just won't know for a while. But
gotcha. Thank you. Yeah.
What kind of staking behavior do you think it would take to get the Tshr rate to be pushing? Obviously, this is way in the future, but like, what kind of staking strategy, or what kind of staking behavior would need to happen in quantity or whatever you'd quantify it in to get us pushing up towards like a 200,000 hex per Tshr? Do you see, based on all the data that you've got?
Well, I think it's more stakes coming in that push the rates up, so that additional stakes that come in have to build on top of those. That's number one. And then ultimately it's payout. It's really yield. The more yield we get, the more you're going to get these types of changes. And so, yeah, it's hard to predict, right? We just don't know. I mean, around that time, we're thinking maybe we're going to be seeing 20 hex per Tshr payouts. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out.
How'd you come up with the name Hex Fire?
Oh yeah, hey, good question. So I haven't been around as long as Hex Vision, but I started back in crypto in 2017. But before that, yeah, I kind of figured out I was old enough that I, married, 6 kids, all grown up, couldn't pay my bills, kind of stuff, normal, a normal challenge of us, right? And finally decided I needed to figure out what was what, and I found the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early. And that's loosely stated, man. It's all about minimizing your footprint and maximizing your income, and then saving, or investing, right? And so the Hex Fire comes from the fact that if I look at traditional markets, you have a number in mind, you know what you need to invest in order to retire early and live the way you want to live. And you can do that about 3 times faster, or with 3 times less the capital, at a very bare minimum with Hex, at a bare minimum, right? And if you add in longer staking ladders and price appreciation, you can do it at a fraction. So that's kind of how that idea came together. So my idea was, hey, put the Hex and the Fire together, because I think this is a viable tool for people who are looking for financial independence.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's a pretty common theme for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea behind Fire, you can go look this stuff up. I mean, it's kind of a movement. There's not like a set way you have to do everything, but it's it's delayed gratification. It's longer time frames. It's planning. It's all the stuff that we think about with Hex.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw earlier when I was doing the really awesome artwork on my whiteboard.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
barely legible.
That's how I tuned in. I saw that, and that attracted me.
So sorry. No, I was talking about, like, everyone is learning how to DCA in, but very few people have been around long enough to see those spikes where they're a millionaire on paper, and then the next month they're back down to like 20 grand, and it like breaks your brain, it breaks your heart. And so the idea that we can hopefully walk people through dollar cost profiting on the way up without wrecking themselves and letting emotions take over is really valuable in regards to the retiring early and the Fire program. So that's really cool. You can put the two things together.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's very important, because Matty Allen talks about he talks about sudden wealth syndrome, which is real. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's also the fear of cashing out, or the fear of taking profits.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, mixed in there is our emotions, like who doesn't say, hey, I don't want to sell at 50 because this thing's going to $1 and I'm going to miss out, right? And I'm not saying sell. What I'm saying is you have to have some idea, some sort of plan,
Yeah, for sure. And then if you listen to me rambling on the other night with my 17-year-old daughter here, after she went to bed, I was talking about the 2-year, 6 month to 2 year process that most of us in America are learning to go through when it comes to taxes, LLCs, and investing in other assets. Because what are you going to do during the 3 years of the bear market, right? Mm-hmm. Like, are you just going to eat like peanut butter and drink tap water? I mean, that's what a lot of us Mexicans have done. Because like ramen. That's for fancy folks. Yeah. But yeah, no, seriously, like
drop an egg.
Yeah, we're out buying caviar and gold watches one day, and the next day we're like, oh no, I've got to go back to McDonald's, right? So it's great to come together as a community and learn from people like yourself who can put this stuff visually, so that we can come up with game plans and strategies. And then we have people like Matty Allen talking about sudden wealth syndrome, which, like you said, that's a real thing. Like people always make fun of you for being like, yeah, it's difficult to go through retiring for anybody, even the 65-year-olds that quit going to their job or their career every day. It's a big adjustment in your life, right? It is. So this community is really special because everyone brings something special to the pot. Kind of like that old book, Stone Soup. You guys remember that from when you were a kid? Some dude shows up into town and says, I got a stone and I can make soup with it, right? And then everyone comes out of their house, because everyone's like, they're full of scarcity, right? So they're not sharing their food. They're not coming together, working together. So this homeboy comes in with a stone. He's like, dude, I can make stone with soup, or a soup with stone. And everyone's freaking out. And so as he starts boiling some water and stuff, and some guy brings out a pot or whatever, everyone's bringing out like a couple radishes from their garden or some potatoes that they had hidden for just their family. And pretty soon the whole community comes together and makes this amazing stew and feasts, right? And at the end of the dinner that they share, they're like, all right, let's eat the stone. Let's see this thing. He's like, oh, no. It needs to be cooked longer. It's not quite ready to eat. But what he did was he unlocked the generosity. It reminds me of Crypto Heartbeat every time I think about this book, because you're unlocking the generosity and the abundance of an entire community to help lift all the boats in the water, right?
Yep.
And so here you are bringing your steak or your turnips out of your house, which is some awesome ways to look at graphs and see how things may play out. I just want to say thank you so much, for your contribution, and Nate and cryptographics. I don't think he does much, but I'm just kidding.
Oh, come on.
he's got more fans in my audience than I got in my audience. He's the man. People
but that's
are begging him to come on here.
That's all of us, though, right? So thank you as well.
Yes, you bet.
Well, this topic, we talk with the retirement stuff, and I'll move more into that, I think, over some time with trying to get more information up and out, about things like tools for that checklist, maybe things like that. But it's scary, man, when you talk to somebody. Forget about crypto for a minute. It's scary when you talk to somebody and they're like, hey, what are your plans for the future? And you're like, I haven't really thought about it. And then they're like, well, you need to save $1 million. Or you talk to somebody else like, you need $2 million. You need $5 million. Man, that's a lot of money. And for a lot of people, that's an effort moment, right? You're like, forget it, whatever. You walk away and you stop doing it. But it's important to understand that even if those numbers somewhat are realistic, you still have to retire someday, right? So if you don't do anything, you're screwed.
Yeah, the whole point of investing is to someday, enjoy the fruits of your labor and your delayed gratification. I mean, if you pass the marshmallow test, the whole point is you get to eat more marshmallows, right? And so the fact that we have so many big brain people in here weighing in, I mean, not even talking about like crypto Kool-Aid sprouting his game theory to the 8th dimension. Like, he's the only person that I listen to on half speed. Let me just put it that way.
You have to. You have to.
Man.
He's bananas.
I've experienced that. Yeah.
But he's got some seriously intense alpha. If your ears are open, you can learn so much from him. It's crazy. Just the amount of systemic design knowledge that he has and intricate detail, like knowledge of crypto and everything going into it. It's nuts. The dude's an animal.
For sure. What else should we be showing people from this website here? Like if someone just understands the basics of just they're a new hexagon, there's got a couple stakes going, they're just figuring out what Tshares do. What's some of the visualizations on their site do you think that would help them kind of grasp where this is going?
Well, go-to spot is Hex Staking.
Okay.
The Hex Staking Data.
Right here. Okay.
Yeah. And so, all right. So I reacted to customer needs, right?
Yes.
So I had a whole lot more information here, and it's still here. You can get to it through the menu down below.
Okay.
And we can look at that. But I wanted to react to exactly what you're saying. Hey, I'm a new guy. How do I actually come in here and look at this and not get overwhelmed? So this pretty much mimics GoStake or hex.com, stake or /stake. So when you go to your staking, you look at that. And so this will show you all stakes, right? So what do we at? 700,000 and some odd stakes that are out there. So if you're like most of us, you have a ladder, and you can drop your addresses in the filter in the top, comma separated, and just look at your ladder, and it'll show you all of your stakes, and you can filter out the ones that have ended or the ones you might have good accounted. You can fool around with the actual end dates, etc. And just look at the data. There's a convenient link to go look at Etherscan on the left-hand side if you needed it. And so it's just telling you, hey, what is this stake? How much Hex was staked? What are the Tshares? What's the current yield? What's the estimated total yield at the end of the stake? ROI, all that junk. And even a rudimentary end stake fee in terms of Ethereum towards the right, if you're able to scroll over.
Let me scroll over. Also, I'm seeing a negative estimated ROI, and I'm guessing those are like stakes that are like just started.
Oh, actually, no. Those are ones that actually ended, and
so these are ones that are bleeding out with the negative ROIs.
Yeah, in this case, it was ended, so it paid a penalty. So if you click to the top where it says ended and just say yes, just show me ended stakes.
Ended stakes right here.
No, it's to the left. I'm sorry, up in the filter.
Oh, there we go. So just click yes.
Yeah,
and then there we go.
Yeah, and just change the just for fun, grab the left-hand side of the actual end date filter and just slide it all the way to the right. It'll go to today's date or yesterday's date. The other
So
one.
bring it all the way like this. Boom.
The other way.
Oh.
Bring them both the other way. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is just this is 1029s.
Yeah, so this,
stakes.
Yeah, so what time was that? Today's the 30th, right? So this site hasn't updated. It'll update. It might be updating right now. So this is from the day before yesterday. So this gives you a little tighter view how many stakes were actually ended yesterday, or the day before yesterday, depending on what time zone you are. You know, how much hex came out, how much of it was yield, and then you can look at the estimated return on investments. Now, to kind of reinforce the point I was making, if you go over to the days column and we sort that, if you click on it, it'll down at the little caret. Look at all those stakes. Now some of these I have no explanation for. I don't know
the one
why,
in the 2-day stakes.
I don't know why somebody would stake 10 hex for one day, but there are some protocols out there that do some automated stuff. Don't know how, don't know why. Obviously, doesn't make sense, and you need some more research. But if you scroll down, you'll see that a lot of these are very short stakes.
Right? Yeah, but a lot of for about a year there, some for 2 years, and then too early. These are early end stakes here. All these ones in the with the pink.
Yeah, and then apparently, whether it's myself or other people telling you to go look before you end stake, we had 4 nukes, at least 4 nukes, because those are Quattro Cincos are very high ones because people don't listen and go look.
I got a negative 100%.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, and you know, I feel for the guys. If you know, I try to answer as many questions as I can in the chats and stuff, but we can't catch everybody, and some people just go do it, or you do it by accident, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, you can get, this is what Kool-Aid was saying. I've got some people, they're like, listen, I had to stop using your site because I was just on the site. That was it.
They just got lost in the site.
Yeah, because if you're particularly if you're a numbers person, you could like get stuck in this. But you could look at all that. Yeah.
On the reverse of that, I mean, obviously you've got these ones here that are negative 100, negative 76, but you look at these ones that were just matured here, and you got 140%, 139%. You know, like those are some insane returns on investment.
They are.
And this is at the bottom of the market. Well, very close to the bottom of the market after a 95% drawdown, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the hugest thing, I mean, I get that there are a lot of us who are real hexagons, quote unquote, real, right? And I get that there's 2 frames of mind. You know, some of us are like, I'm 99.9% staked, and there's others who's like, nah, I want to stay loose. So I'm not criticizing anybody who wants to stay loose. But what I'm saying is that during the bear market, my hex went up 50%. I'm guessing. I have to go do the numbers, but it's at least that much. I have 50% more, and that really helped me and calm my nerves, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anything else you want to check out on here or show people they can come look at?
No, people can go peruse here. I would say, I'll show you. You already have it selected where it says advanced staking data at the bottom, and we won't go too deep, but hit the go button.
Okay.
Right below that. There's too much information to put on one screen. So if you want to really dig in, anybody out there, you can come look at things like leagues, or go look at emergency end stakes, what your calculator would be, what the actual penalized stakes might be, good accounted, stakes that are bleeding, all that stuff. So if you really want to dig into the data, you can do that.
Wow.
Probably the best thing to show people here is just hit estimated monthly payouts, which is up
the first one here.
Yeah. And I'll show you the companion chart. Again, you can filter it by your stakes, and it's just going to tell you what the estimated payouts are per month.
Wow.
Now this is helpful too, because what I'm able to do with it, and we have it in some other screens, is you can actually pick out the days in the future where the least amount of hex comes out. How useful is that? It's useful, because if you have a month where there is 100 million coming out, that's different than 3 billion, right?
Right.
And that's going to come into play a lot more later. But some people are making stakes for later.
Right, especially as you look into the 4-year cycle and you're anticipating a spike possibly following the Bitcoin halvening, right? So let's say Bitcoin halvening's right around here, end of 23, beginning of 24.
Yeah.
And so if this next 12 months here in 24, 25, if this is where you're thinking you might be getting your spike, here's a nice one for $500,000 are coming out that day.
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
$500 million. I mean, yeah. So that could be very helpful as well, setting your stakes.
Yeah. And scroll to the top, back up to the top.
Okay.
I'll show you one other thing. So here's a FUD buster, right? Oh my God, there's so much Hex coming out in November. Everybody run to the hills.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know there's 6 billion Hex? Well, yeah, it's like this every month.
Yep.
Okay,
so short stakes rolling.
And they're only getting bigger.
Yeah.
So the 6 billion, yes, I get it that if everybody sold, there'd be a problem, but that's not what's happening. That's not the behavior. And so this just keeps rolling and getting bigger and bigger for the shorter stakes, which I think is to be expected. And I don't know what it's going to mean for us longer term, but yeah.
Is there a way to look back at last month when 6 billion came out last month or 5 billion came out last month and see what percentage of them restaked?
Yes, there are certainly ways to do that. I haven't built that, but yes.
Okay.
there is that, because you have the data, right? So we can go look at what actually came out. I did do a new chart this week that shows by day and month, year, how many stakes were made, how many Tshrs went in, how many Tshrs came out, that type of thing. So we can actually do that. I just didn't build it in this format.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we can do that. And in fact, I might, may not, I might be able to actually recycle this screen that we have here.
We got a whole bunch of people showing up here in chat. If you don't mind me shouting out real quick, we got
oh no, go ahead.
We got Alan Fitzama. We've got the Harmonic Hexagon. We got Marcavelli. We got Briss. Briss says, "Did Hex Ray just shame my dinner of ice cubes and peanut butter?" Son of a. Dude, we got Mix AKA. We got all sorts of people here. We got Russ, Cookies and Crypto, and then Crypto Kool-Aid. Oh, he's back. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Oi, oi.
It's a Kool-Aid.
Wow, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I'm gonna go back to just our beautiful faces here on screen.
I'd be really curious if, with that last chart, I wonder if you're looking at that 6 billion Hex coming out, if the Tshr number that's coming out with that 6 billion Hex, I wonder I would love to see what that Tshr number is doing over time to really show people the purchasing power of that 6 billion Hex and what's actually happening to it within the system and how it's losing power over time. Because that's the most important thing, I think, to take away from that most people wouldn't see when they see just 6 billion Hex and 304,000 Tshrs. They're like, oh my God. But it's losing.
Well, let's take it one more step, JRFX. If you take the binded loop of circular loop of power, how is that power gaining over time? And how can no one actually get in to access it? And then the people that utilize that power over time have a sniper's advantage over everything else. They can scope into actually how they want to fulfill, utilize, and deploy said assets under management.
Well said.
Yeah, I think oddly enough, what we've observed is that interest or yield rate per month right now, if you're a real short staker, is about 0.8 of 1%. I believe that's about the right number, and that's about 10% a year. And by chance, maybe by design, the purchasing power is going down about 10% per year. So those guys are losing 1% of purchasing power of Tshrs per month every time they're doing these unstakes.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
That can be a lot of money.
Well, and you were talking about the increase in the Hex per Tshr rate, right? How we're looking at 130,000 to, was it 275 275,000.
Yep.
I mean, and so knowing that the price of Hex follows the Tshr rate, not exactly, but kind of like a dog when you're on a leash on a walk. Like you might walk straight to the park, but that dog may go all over the place. But eventually that dog's going to end at the park too, because he's on your leash. And so if you look at that huge X in Tshrs, like that kind of hints at the price of Hex, right?
Well, it's a spot price of Hex. If you want to look at like Icosa represents the spot price of Hex, whereas Hedron shadows a Tshr. And that's the whole trick, is shadowing a Tshr. I said it way the fuck back when, that when people talk about Hex, Hex is just a train ticket to get on the Tshr steam engine. If you don't stake it, it's just loose liquid. It's a train ticket. You don't get on the ride. Whereas Hedron inherently is the caboose of a Tshr. And as that train, steam engine, Tshr train moves forward, the caboose will travel forward. Icosa allows the amount of distance between that to ratchet up. But inherently, if you want to think about if a train moves from XYZ, the caboose will move XYZ as fast as the Tshr rate, or the ratcheting up of the Lindy effect, Metcalfe's law, and Moore's law ratchet it back up to itself. Adding another paradigm or another mechanic allows it to jump faster or make the sine waves smaller. And so looking at those paradigms allows you to understand the complexity and or the usability of this ecosystem that we're building.
Wow.
While you're on that, how powerful is the Icosa being generated from the Watsa? Like,
so Watsa is its own separate, different paramind of pools. So it's vastly, vastly different, but it's vastly, vastly important to say, because it's a game of chicken, if you will. And it's a game of chicken within its own ecosystem that no one can ever touch, which is fascinating. It's like Series A funding that you can never get back into. Very, very, very interesting.
There we go. I had to pull this up just so you guys didn't think I was making that up. This is the story of Stone Soup.
Stone Soup, I reference it all the time, good sir. Yeah, Stone Soup is amazing.
The lady is creepy, kind of like an anime character, but the guy's he's pretty sincere.
But did you say the whole story of what Stone Soup is?
Yeah, I talked about how basically this guy comes to town, and everyone in the town has a scarcity mindset, right? They're all afraid to share. They're all afraid to give because there might not be enough for me, right? And so eventually he comes here and he convinces them all to bring and share some of their food and whatnot. And I was likening that to Crispy Man and Cryptographics and yourself and all the people in our amazing community, AJ, reading Sci-Vive, coming together and creating something that none of us could create on our own, which is this beautiful community.
And that's what I always said. A lot of people punch down, and when they use the aspect of imperfect horribles, it's because it's what they would do had they not had a more perfect solution. With Stone Soup, everyone came in to throw into something that someone had nothing. And it builds a network effect. The Lindy effect. Metcalfe's law binded to Metcalfe's law. And everyone puts in their portion, but they also come in and stir the soup themselves. They bring everything together to farm the land themselves. And that's inherently the dichotomy of the Hexagon ecosystem. We don't get paid to do this. Crispy doesn't get paid to make this shit. Fucking Cryptographics is going to give away a bunch of money, which I lectured him not to do. But he's like, this is for me. I'm going to fucking do it. And hell to you, buddy. But the difference is that how you make Stone Soup is coming together and building not just the land, but the people. And what I say is we don't teach people what to buy. We teach people why. We till the world with knowledge, and knowledge is the most expensive token in the world.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not just the ingredients, it's the fire, it's the pot, it's the technology and the know-how of how to make soup that people are so generous with in our community. We were talking, like I said, I went to the real estate conference earlier, and in real estate, you have to pay to play, right? Everyone's holding their secrets close to their chest. If they have a relationship with a broker that's going to get them deals, they're not going to share that with anybody, because it is about scarcity, right? It is about knowledge and skills and an advantage. And you show up in the Hexagon community, and people are, let me show you the secret to my success. Let me spend time on Zoom or in person, walking you, holding your hand through something that's going to change your life, because we want to rise as a community. We want to rise as a group. Like earlier, Crypto Heartbeat was in here, and he really goes into like the generosity and compassion. And the people, all the Hexagons I've met in real life are givers first.
Yep.
You know, and it's something that we should never take for granted.
That's what's going to separate us from everybody else in the industry as well. As far as pulse chain, that's like really what's going to pull things mainstream. Like, it's weird to me because you can meet these people, and this kind of feels like, to me, this feels like the era, at least digitally, where you could meet your neighbors and have a relationship kind of idea. The community is just online now rather than in your cul-de-sac. So I think that's the most powerful aspect. It's just beautiful to be a part of, and like all the different personalities and angles. And we're just really getting started.
What it is, because like we now have the ability and the enabled utility to actually go further, right? We are no longer glass ceilinged. We've already punched through that. And what matters is that, you know, we all have grief and drama and shit, but at the end of the day, we all come to a fist and we punch up. That's what we all try to do, even when there's drama. At the end of the day, every Hexagon, whether you deal with the Richard Hart stuff, whether you deal with personal stuff, whether you deal with anything, is about coming together and punching up. At the end of the day, that's all. That's what everyone wants. When you graduated high school, you wanted to have the knowledge to be able to punch up yourself, not to be put into a cage. And that's what happens right now, is people put you into a cage and they block you into their little systems. And we do not adhere to that. And sometimes we get feisty because of that. But that's the rule and the fight that we're coming to do. We are our own fight club of the most educated community that also owns the most potential asset in the world. And that's the most important paradigm that we need to teach, regardless of somehow, like brothers and sisters, we go scrap. Everybody does it. We all know it. I'm guilty. I go scrappy sometimes, but just because, like, you know what I mean? Like, stupid hurts my brains, because if you know me, I work 18-hour days, and that's a luxury. Yeah. That is a happy day. But at the end of the day, we want to actually scrap together and go forward.
Yeah, one of you guys want to talk about this one? Every time I look at the ICSA chart, I see a triple Lindy.
So what you need to do is you do that graph on Dex screeners to you want to do Icosa to USDC, Icosa to Hex, and then for good play, do Hedron to Hex, because you can't buy Icosa without Hedron purchasing HSI. So that is your ticket in.
So this one right here is Icosa USDC. Let me turn the log back on. I don't think the log's on. Boom, there's a log, right? Sure. So you take this one right here, and then what was the other one?
Well, you want to go to Dex Screener. You're on TradingView right now, I believe.
No, this is Dex Screener.
Okay, well, pop back out and do a multi-chart. So go ahead and unshare just so you get all your stuff in order. But, I mean, GIF is the master of this kind of stuff. And GIF has been talking about it the other day. Icosa has had some 20% pumps and then evens the fuck back out because of the arbitrage opportunity between the mechanics that it's running on this side and the mechanics that it's doing on this side. So I'll correlate it just how you would do, let's just say you partake in MMOs or fantasy games. I always play the mage. I know I'm going to be the fucking ball-gagged bitch, but eventually I get to summon meteors on your fucking head. right? And so like I understand that I need to go drag behind a tank and have a healer that allows me to come up, to move forward, to then come in to be like, I got you, boo, bang, meteors from the sky. But it takes time to do that. And that's why you need a team or a value or a multi-tiered utility that binds together. And you get that off of the Tshr. All the people that always talk about Hex, they forget Hex is the ticket that gets you on the Tshr train. Without a Tshr, you don't get Hedron. Without Hedron, you can't purchase an HSI. Without this HSI, you can't smack it in to get Icosa. It's a multi-threaded system that actually runs together. Systemic circular loop design. Again, what is the dude that I just sent to someone?
So check this out. You said Icosa USDC, Hedron Icosa. What was the other chart?
Well, I would do Hedron HSDC just because so that way we're binding to HSDC across the board. So Icosa USDC, Hedron Hex and Icosa, Hedron to USDC, because those are the three paradigms into itself. And if you could, aka Crispy, lay up this stuff where it actually ley lines the stuff together for them to actually see it. Because for me, I can see the graphs and see how it runs in a systemic design system or loops. But for most people, they can't. And that's why your paradigm of your graphs are paramount. Again, it's Hex Daily Stats. It's Hex.live. It's all that shit back in the day. But now we've got another interface on top of it. And then technically when you run one database, you can run a second database in tandem on top of each other.
Okay, so I got Icosa USDC, yes. Hedron Icosa, Hex Icosa, and what was the fourth one?
You want to do USD for everything except Hex Icosa, because that's where it hits on top of itself. Because
I do a Hedron USDC.
Hedron USDC, because Hedron is needed to buy Icosa, but you should want to know that in its value. It's like looking at Maxi, the Maxi premium. You have to do Hex Maxi and then switch it to Hex Maxi Hex, and then you switch it on its value to see its premium. So it's understanding these paradigms on how they roll together. That's really important. It's lockstep, right? And that's what you want to see is the lockstep of all of it.
Okay, so Hedron dollar, Icosa dollar, and then Hex and Icosa together.
Yep, that would work.
Okay. There we go.
That's what. Yeah, we need a Hedron. We need some.
Well, remember, Hedron is the birth of the shadow of the Tshr. I called it way the fuck back when right when it launched. I mean, Dexter, I called you directly.
Yes.
Hedron is the caboose of a Tshr. And even before Icosa launched, I said the caboose needs to shadow its entity at least as long as it took to get there. So if it took a Tshr 2 years to get up to 10K a Tshr back down to 1K a Tshr, you would need its derivative or its caboose. Think about it. How is the caboose going to travel faster than the train it's attached to? Right. It's ludicrous to not understand that.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So here's the three charts right here. Icosa dollars first, Hex Icosa in the middle, and then Hedron dollar at the end. With it's going into a triangle here.
Dude, the Hedron chart is so fucking healthy. It's so healthy as fuck.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Also, if you click on switch to in the Hex Icosa chart, if you click switch price in Icosa, it'll switch you to the actual movement.
Now it's a stable coin essentially. Is what graphics is saying. Yep.
Yeah, you'll see it. It actually tracks it, and then if you right click on the scale on the right where the 0 point something like the price, and you press invert scale, it'll show you what's actually happening there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's just gone straight up here. That's why they've been calling Icosa the stable coin.
Well, it's not only that. What it is it's driving the spot price of Hex. Remember, Hedron runs on the Tshr, which is important to understand. Most times, Hex, as I said, is loosely not valuable liquid. Icosa, due to how it interfaces with Hedron, takes the HSI stakes and then makes yield that makes Icosa and Hedron is acting on the spot price. So the arbitrage opportunities between Hedron and Icosa is why the last, month, there's been like 20% pumps in Icosa where people basically ran that fucking up and then they arbed it back down. What that is, it's a levy, which I've been teaching graphics about circular loops. It's a circular loops that keeps predators or foxes and hares in check. Eventually, that circular loop, as it gains gravitational mass or coal in its steam engine, right, will eventually pull the hex price up. It just takes time to marinate. Because again, it's resistance and then it's support. Bang, bang, bang. Sloth, what up, buddy?
So it's beautiful about the timing. Alex did all this too. Then from here into the next bull cycle,
he's the white whale, dude. Alex is the white whale. Period.
The white whale.
This has been insane.
The white whale. I love that.
I'm not usually wrong. It doesn't mean I'm always right, but I'm usually not wrong.
There's another interesting way to look at Hedron and Icosa too, in relation to Hex, and you kind of have to step outside the dollar figures and everything. You have to look at it in relation to T-shares specifically. And I wrote a piece on this actually recently, and you can look at Hedron, like a coupon. 5.555 million Hedron is essentially a reflection of a T-share at a certain price. And so whenever Hedron gets to its ceiling price, it's always redeemable no matter what the T-share rate is for a T-share. So if you're looking at Hedron as coupons, like future coupons for whenever it gets to the ceiling, okay, well, you kind of have this preservation of T-shares or the ability to, while the Hex system is limiting in the amount of T-shares you can get, you have Hedron that allows you to potentially in the future get more T-shares because you staked. But now what's interesting is Icosa is a preservation and growth mechanism for a T-share. It's always increasing relative to a T-share. For every 6 Hex T-share goes up, Icosa increases in 0.0255% of a T-share, meaning that Icosa is always going up in value relative to a T-share. So every time we get one of these big jumps, Icosa goes up even faster in value relative to a T-share. So there's almost a circular system here where you move, if you're thinking about only maximizing your T-shares, and you're trying to figure out how to grow them the fastest, Icosa is how you grow your T-shares. But Hedron, when you have Hedron, is valuable because you can either redeem that Hedron for a minimum bid or close to minimum bid for a close to 1-to-1 redemption rate, or you can wait till it comes close to the ceiling. But if you're burning plenty of it or you're trying to put it back into Icosa, you're basically giving up potential value in the future. So you have to hold your Hedron. But Hex, if you're growing your T-shares, Hex moving into Icosa allows you to grow T-shares and not just be capped. So the system is really interesting, and it also incentivizes that longer staking, which gets more Hex off the market, and it basically drives itself in this multi-loop system that's pretty incredible, honestly.
And even Gifford put it on the last stream, I think it was with you, that if you had to cashing out the Icosa route actually puts a secondary leg on top of how you can cash out your liquidity, because people are already buying the ARB opportunity, because that's what Icosa does. It gives you the ARB opportunity of spot buying Hex or spot buying HSIs versus buying spot Icosa. So you have that ARB opportunity already there, and it's like next level limit ordering. And if because you already have the multiple loops already there. Right, they're already harvesting that, whether you go through bots or whether you go through humans, paying attention to what the spot is on any of that. It's already happening. So you can just set your limit order in Icosa, and you'll never even touch the Hex or any other price besides feeding the arbitrage opportunity that pushes Icosa more as the exit strategy of a T-share, not the spot strategy of Hex.
And as we get more liquidity too, we'll see less of these dips. Like Icosa has very, very, very low liquidity right now in comparison. So I mean, as liquidity grows, it's going to be harder and harder for these ARB opportunities these opportunities to capitalize on cheaper Icosa, as well as these ARB opportunities are going to be more powerful because they're going to have more economic energy moving through the liquidity pool, essentially, to move one price down, one price back up to reach equilibrium again. So in the future, I mean, as more people understand Icosa, a lot's going to start to happen. And I mean, Icosa, for a lot of people to understand that you're growing a T-share just by you're growing in a percentage of T-shares that your Icosa is worth just by holding a single Icosa. But what you have to realize is when you're staking your Icosa, you are earning percentages or fractions of a T-share, which are increasing every single day by earning Icosa. And you're also earning T-shares in the form of Hedron every single time you earn 5.5 million, no matter what the T-share rate. If the T-share rate is 1 million and Hedron's at the ceiling price, you can use that to basically trade over or swap over for a T-share's worth of Hex for 5,555. And so you have this crazy system that's giving you the ability to buy more T-shares and grow the T-shares that you have, and it's just nuts. It's cryptocrazy what Alex has done. The white whale is an understatement.
So no, it is. And again, like Gifford, I'm seeing him on many other people besides Cryptographics channel, maybe RH Max, or it's very, very few. But you could even take that ARB opportunity to then get the metric value to buy your T-share back, because you're basically basing on the guppies feeding within that premium line, whether you're doing liquidity providing to earn those fees to then get that. But Island Life, to answer your question, T-share is the GOAT. It's always the GOAT because everything else is based on that. Yeah, you could possibly make some more gains quicker in some other token, but what you have to realize is back in the day, Richard did this thing called De Beers, and no one understood what it meant. And if you don't understand it, diamonds weren't nothing. Precious stones or sapphires, emeralds, rubies, diamonds were absolutely nothing till the De Beers company bought up all the diamond mines and put a right butthole on it and basically said diamonds were a woman's best friend. You're not a man till you buy diamonds. And then from that reduced liquidity with social narrative allowed diamonds to be what is important for a matrimony of two different people, or diamond saws, or all sorts of other things. But it's that narrative that combines together that makes that social narrative. T-shares will always be the GOAT. You should always be looking at least a third of what you're putting in goes toward your T-share stack. And if you don't understand these very complex play with derivatives, you probably shouldn't play them. You probably should just buy your T-shares and DCA into that, because top of last bull, a T-share was 10 grand. Yes, Briz, is actually the roof to your hood of your car.
The man-made diamonds.
No, but Briz is the man. When we went to New York for the first year anniversary, I accidentally booked us a hostel, and he lived in there with me. We didn't even have a bathroom. It was stupidly ridiculous, but Briz is the man. But at the end of the day, and he finally has gotten his necks good on his photoshopping. I will heckle the fuck out of you if you try to Photoshop and your neck looks like S. So if you don't have your T-share bag, get that. Understand your derivative play. We don't tell you what to buy, but why. Knowledge is the most expensive token in the world. Get your knowledge for free. Start with your T-share bag. It's basically your basic bitch Bitcoin. And that's not Hex. That's staking Hex in a proactive ladder. We now have HSI stakes, which means that you have options. You could take your HSI at any time and move it into Icosa if you wanted it. You could sell it on the market. You could barter and trade with it. You could wrap it against something else. There are variables with the Hex the Hex 2.0 ecosystem. But getting your T-shares is the most important variable. And more importantly, I'm not going to be one of those people that go 555 for everything. Look at what your common base is. If you're investing in your fucking 5-year-old's future, a 10-year stake is when they're 15. Beautiful. Set it for that. If you do a 13-year stake, they're now 18 and can go to college on that. Beautiful. Stop playing like a child that doesn't have the 150 streamers in the Hex ecosystem that does this for free to educate you for free. You are not a Dogecoin SHIB idiot. You're not a Bitcoin maxi that doesn't understand that wrapped Bitcoin actually has more utility than fucking any Bitcoin in the world because it actually can be binded against itself. But see, Briz is a good man. Briz is a good man. But that's the whole point that we scream at the wall about. Yeah. Understanding the technology under your feet is more important than understanding the thing you can't see that will never touch.
Yeah, you just got to read the comments for the people that listen to this on the podcast later. Just not that all the stuff I did on my whiteboard is going to be helpful to them. They're just going to hear me spelling really slowly.
I mean, it got me out of the hot tub, dear sir. But I mean, we did go to the burn together, so you could summon me from the hot tub regardless.
Cookies and Crypto says, "Do you guys think the gas fees on ETH will be lower in 15 years?" Hell no.
No. Let me. All right. How old is Bitcoin?
About 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long has Unreal 3 been in development?
What's Unreal 3?
Unreal.
And my point is merit. So we now build billion-dollar movies and games on Unreal 5. I built my film on Unreal 3. And that was before UDK, where you had to have a subscription to actually get it. If you don't think that we can't put a roll-ups onto something that could bind liquidity of multiple stakes ending on the same day, where people could sign into almost like kind of what Maximus does, but a binded utility that they all go up together, unstake on a roll-up, and then come back down to make sure that stake gets done with utility, that's easy. Or you could unmint your Hedron on the east side and have that pay for your gas. Or you could unmint your P-Hedron and then bridge that over and then unmint your gas. Or you could unmint your P-Hedron to unmint your P-Hex to then bridge that over to unmint your E-Hedron to then pay for your... I'm sorry, did that my brain hurt right there? We can probably fix something in 13 years when Bitcoin wasn't even a fucking thought in your mother's mouth when she spit out the shit. Sorry to be crass, but it's stupid that people don't think in 15 years we can't think of a roll-up solution when I can model it out right now. But understanding that is the utility, right? The purge, the dirge, the merge, the fucking smurf, whatever the fuck we're going to call the next one. That is so tiny compared to the utility that we will be building in 15 years. How long did the iPhone take to kill the pager, the payphone, and a landline? Immediate zing.
All right. I only have 6 T shares. I need to try. I need to try more to stake more. My kids are already set. Mama needs more T shares.
That's true. That's true. And that's why you want to ladder yourself out, man. Start with 369. Start with your kid's 18th birthday. And then from there, retroactively back into what you need. Think about it. Your Social Security is worth 0. Your 401k is worth 0. You are already paying into those things if you're lucky and get matching 401k, but you're paying for your Social Security regardless, and that's worth 0. Briz, what are you looking at? Are you right on what? Unreal 3, you lose. Start from last checkpoint. Well, that would be Doom 3, not Unreal 3, and Doom was made on the id engine, not the Unreal engine. What? I'll forgive you, sir.
Crispy, I enjoyed your chat with RH Max. Got to set something up sometime. I've been using your stuff too much not to bring you on, LOL. So he wants to get you on his stream, go over some deep stuff. Crypto Sloth. Marcavelli says fruit roll-ups.
Yes, Machiavelli.
Fruit roll-ups are going to save Ethereum.
Francis Powell, you're the last one from Houston to check
ZK
in.
nerds.
Hello, Francis Powell. Great to see you, bud. Oh my gosh. Dude, I can't believe how much alpha and stuff we got. Let me bring this all back to this. So you said we teach people not what to buy, but why to buy it. And we're talking about the T-shares. The T-shares.
Just anything in general, sir.
And you used a word earlier where you're talking about the sun, where everything's trying to
Dyson sphere.
Dyson sphere, which means you're trying to get as close as you can to the source of value or energy.
Or the faucet.
The faucet, right? In the Federal Reserve and central banks, they call it the Cantillon effect, right? The person who's the closest to the money printer gets the money the cheapest and just turns around and rents out free money for free, right? Mm-hmm. But here we're talking about an actual source of energy because the T-shares are monetizing time, and time is one of the things that is scarce in this existence, right?
Also, sir, T-shares give zero fucks about your feelings. Like, you can look at Crispy's model, and it basically says all of it right there. You can literally stick your stake in exactly where you want to fit in, but the T-share gives zero fuck about your feelings, and someone else can also place it there, especially if you're going outbound multiple tiers of years.
Chad's here. Chad Donner Swans. What's up, fam? Hey, so going back to the Dyson sphere, did I say that right?
Yeah.
If the T-share right now is its Dyson sphere in our universe, where does that put Poly?
I'm not speaking about that.
Oh, okay. So you guys know right now that you guys should probably really look into Poly and how it relates to T-shares. Yeah, so he just ducks. He's out. He's in Icosahedron now.
I'm gonna smoke. I'll be back. I am not speaking about anything.
Well, let me. I've actually got to cut the stream because I am a half an hour short for a barbecue that all my friends set up. But this thing is just getting good. It was just getting into the. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to all of this over and over again. You guys have been great. Tech Talk never fails to deliver. It's something magical happens. The brains come in here and start dropping alpha and tokenomics and stories about soup from a stone. Like what more can you want, right? Bristology has Kool-Aid about Poly.
Oh my god!
He's just pushing the limits, just stabbing him on the side.
He's poking the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah,
the Kool-Aid
man. I talk to him on the phone. That's how I deal with all the people. I don't deal with any of the rest. I deal with people on the phone. By the way, Crispy, I need to get your number and all the rest of that type of stuff. You're a gentleman scholar, and again, my hubris did not look over your UI. When I saw the RH Max shit, I was just like, man. Tip of the fucking hat, sir.
Well, let's jump into the green room. You guys can get each other's information down there, and then like I said, I'm going to bounce, but I'm going to be going back.
Fuck out of here, barbecue boy.
I'm going to be listening to Kool-Aid at half speed, like I said, and writing down notes. And I'm also going to work on my. I'm going to try to get a better white screen here, so I can do a better. Illustration of our
you did a good job. You summoned me out of the hot tub with your little graph.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, well, we're going to end this broadcast. Thank you everyone who's been here, and thank you for everyone who's going to watch this replay tomorrow on their way to work and thinking about fire and thinking about what Crispy Man said, thinking about some of these strategies, because like I said, the 2024 wave is going to happen before we know it. 2024, 25, that wave's going to hit. It's going to melt your face. Your emotions are going to go crazy. Have a plan right now to try to get as much powder as you can on the 2024 wave, because we need an army of volunteers and hexagons freeing people between the 24 wave and the 28 and 29 wave. Right? Think about it. If we get 1,000 or 10,000 hexagons completely free from all their financial obligations, and they're hitting the ground running and driving around in an RV or whatever they got to do to spread the word of Hex, think about how many people we can free, how many captives we can free in 28, 29. That's what I'm thinking about. That's where my focus is. So thank you so much for being a part of the community and being here, and we'll catch you guys later.